They serve at the hotel.
This is in your dream.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's really horrible. Anybody?
Yeah. My daughters are both in town now.
Good morning, everyone. I call to order the May meeting of the University of Minnesota Board of Regents. For those watching the live stream, you will note that we are back in the boardroom for today's meeting. The new upgrades will help to enhance our live stream meetings, which are a vital part of our commitment to transparency. As with any first use of new technology, however, there might be some hiccups, and we appreciate everyone's patience if there are. For those of us sitting around the table, you will notice that new microphones are shorter than the previous microphones we had in front of us. So when speaking, please make sure you are up to the table and that the mic is pointed toward your face. The mics are sensitive enough to pick up your voice from that distance. On behalf of the board, I want to extend our sincere thanks to the technology team that completed this upgrade. Thank you so much. Before we move to our agenda, we will have the oath of office for the newly elected regents Gully, Johnson, Turner, and Wheeler. This oath will be administered by the Minnesota Court of Appeals Judge Tracy Smith. Judge Smith, if you would come up to where I am seated, we're going to move aside and let you conduct.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, nice to see you. Good morning. And we're beginning with Regent Gully, I believe. Good morning. Good morning. Will you raise your right hand, please? I, Robin J. Gully,
I, Robin J. Gully,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the Office of Regent
the duties of the Office of Regent
of the University of Minnesota
of the University of Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Regent Turner. All right, will you please raise your right hand? I, Mary C. Turner,
I, Mary C. Turner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Regent of the University of Minnesota
of Regent of the University of Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you.
So cheesy.
And
No.
Regent Penny Wheeler.
Oh,
Yeah, okay. No.
Will you raise your right hand, please? Your right hand. I, Penny A. Wheeler,
I, Penny A. Wheeler,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the Office of Regent
the duties of the Office of Regent
of the University of
of
Minnesota
the University of Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and
to
ability,
the best of my judgment and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
Congratulations. And Regent Johnson, do you have a middle initial?
Just
Okay. Good morning. I, Tad M. Johnson,
I, Tad M. Johnson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the Office of Regent
the duties of the Office of Regent
of the University of Minnesota
of the University of Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations again.
Thank you to Judge Smith, and welcome officially Regents Gully, Turner, and Wheeler. Are we missing one other? And Johnson. You were already here. Welcome again, Regent Johnson. Thank you. The first item of business before us this morning is approval of the March and April minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If there is no discussion, then all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Next, we will hear the report of the president. President Gable.
Thank you, Chair Mayron, co-chairs Hipsch and Kenyanya, and members of the board. A warm congratulations to our new regents. It's a pleasure to work with you, and I know that you have the most amazing institution under your guidance and governance now, and I can't wait to see what this entire board will do together. It has been a remarkable spring semester on top of an extraordinary year, and this time of year is really special as we look around the room and have the chance to acknowledge a few of the most special, most high contributors to our community, and as we watch thousands of our graduates receive their degrees. I want to express my heartfelt congratulations to everyone in the room and their families, and also to all of the class of 2023. For all of us, there is before us opportunity, promise, and optimism. We're in a place where we can really think about a positive future and the opportunities available because of what happens on this campus and in this community. And when we talk about this campus and in this community, we're really talking about the people of this campus and this community, and they are an extraordinary group of people. This university stands in appreciation, and it is my honor to be able to speak on behalf of the university in wishing all of you in the room the very best, all of our graduates the very best, and seeing what will happen next for everybody. Members of the board, May is also Mental Health Awareness Month, and later today you're going to hear an update on the PRISM initiative, which is the epicenter of our work around mental health, but a context around a much broader initiative, all guided by MPACT 2025, our strategic plan. We are also still within the legislative session, in case you didn't know, and we have been robustly engaging in St. Paul to rally for support for our operating budget request, which fully reflects the university's priorities and values as described in our strategic plan, as well as legislation that affects the future of mHealth and the medical school and our key hospital facilities on the Twin Cities campus. These are complex discussions. We're very grateful for our team, which is led by Dr. Jacob Tolar and Senior Vice President Myron Franz. They've been very dedicated to this work to ensure that our medical school continues to thrive and that our academic health center is the very best in education and research so that the university can be a partner to the state in addressing quality healthcare access for all Minnesotans. Yesterday, we presented for review the President's recommended fiscal year 2024 annual capital budget during the Finance and Operations Committee, and we'll discuss that again, or look forward to discussing that again, and keeping you posted on how that intersects with developments in St. Paul as they happen. And Senior Vice President Myron Franz is here today to provide a more detailed update on our work at the legislature in just a few moments later on in the agenda. We have some leadership search updates, two important ones. First, we are very pleased to announce that pending your approval, Dr. Janet Shrunk Erickson is the next chancellor of the University of Minnesota Morris, effective May 15th. Janet brings incredible experience, accomplishments, deep thought, enthusiasm, collaboration, and just general fabulousness to the role as chancellor in Morris. And I really want to thank our co-chairs, Pei Eng, and who has been acting vice chancellor for academic affairs and dean, and Michael Rodriguez, who's the dean of the College of Education and Human Development at the Twin Cities, but is a Morris alum, and the whole search committee for their tremendous service throughout this process. They have been great partners. They have allowed us to be very engaged and consultative through this very important national search, which obviously has yielded a tremendously positive outcome. And second, I'm excited to note that Alice Roberts Davis will be our new Vice President for University Services, effective June 12th, also pending your approval today. Alice Roberts Davis is a highly accomplished and regarded leader who currently serves as the Commissioner of the State of Minnesota's Department of Administration. And she's going to bring tremendous experience and know-how to the role, as well as context, having been in related service in state level for many years. We are very grateful to Search Committee Chairs Laura Mulgard, who's the Dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine, and Bernie Galacek, who's our Vice President for Information Technology and Chief Information Officer, and the members of the Search Committee, as well as the many members of our community who participated in public presentations and other collaboration during this competitive national search process. And I want to thank Janelle Brush, who's been the interim vice president and has deeply supported this transition. Members of the board, I want to give you an update on public safety. You will hear a specific update in the agenda, but for the purposes of my report, I want to acknowledge that we have a whole team working around the clock, literally, to ensure the health and safety of our university community. As you've heard from many members of that team, we're investing significant time and resources into supporting campus safety, but also safety in the neighborhoods near our campus, where many of our students, faculty, staff live, work, socialize, et cetera. We have UMPD working on this, University Security, our Department of Public Safety, who are primarily responsible for on-campus safety, but we are in support of the Minneapolis Police Department and other law enforcement agencies to assist in our adjacent neighborhoods or when they need us. We also continue to encourage students, faculty, and staff, and anyone who's interested to sign up for our new Dinkytown alerts, which are notifications sent by UMPD when it receives verified information from MPD about active situations in our adjacent areas and neighborhoods in Minneapolis. This service is in addition to the SafeU notification, which all students, faculty, and staff can receive, as is governed by the Federal Clery Act. Additional notifications regarding off-campus neighborhood crime alerts are also available through the Minneapolis Police Department. And I want to thank Senior Vice President Myron Franz and UMPD Chief Matt Clark and their teams who've been working in great collaboration with other law enforcement agencies, including MPD under Chief Brian O'Hara, as well as through the Strategic Safety Advisory Committee, which is an intersectional committee that provides advice to the administration and this board, and through the Campus Safety Committee, which is a University Senate committee that helps us work through our solutions in a full shared governance consultative manner. Members of the board, since the March meeting, I have had the opportunity to engage in our community in many important and some pretty fun and pleasant ways. For example, I participated in the Josie Johnson Regents Award presentation. I know many of you did too. It was a remarkable day for all of us. We were able to award the President's Student Leadership and Service Awards. We celebrated lives lost who we treasure as part of our community through the Northern Stars Remembrance event. We had an incredible time at the Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux Community Scholars graduation. We were at the Masonic Cancer Center's NCI site visit. We participated in the Carnegie Institutional Roundtable, the investiture of a chancellor a little bit to the east of us. We were at the logo reveal at the Mall of America for Special Olympics 2026, which, as you know, we're extremely honored and proud to be hosting on this campus. I traveled to UC Davis to participate as a panelist for the Council on Competitiveness National Commission Summit, and also through the Council on Competitiveness was at the Agreement 25 in Belfast, the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement, where I also served on a panel representing the University of Minnesota. We were the only United States university represented in the multi-day, multinational celebration of 25 years of peace in Northern Ireland. I've met with supporters and alums in Palo Alto, South Korea, Vietnam, and Tampa during Gopher Hockey's Frozen Four run, and of course met with Governor Walz and legislative leadership in St. Paul on our budget proposal and other timely opportunities for collaboration with the legislature. We've had our own cabinet meetings, system council, dean's meetings, budget 6. The provost ran the spring campus leadership forum a few days ago. We've met regularly with FCC leadership. We did our spring FCC 3x3x3 and had university senate meetings and then consultative meetings with all of the individual shared governance consultative groups. We met with the foundation trustees, and I have been mentoring through the NCAA Pathways program. We had board service with the Big Ten and Greater MSP, the AAU Spring Leadership Meeting in Washington, D.C., and for APLU, and was able to represent APLU for their Women's History Month celebration and recognition. And later today, we will have Twin Cities graduate student conferral ceremony, and tomorrow we will have the undergraduate student conferral ceremony. I do want to note, though, yesterday during the Mission Fulfillment Committee, we discussed next steps in the development of the university's tuition and pricing model under Provost Croson's leadership, which is a deliverable under MPACT 2025, the only deliverable for this year, actually. And I would like to point out, members of the board, that in this spirit, this was the last MPACT 2025 deadline. We have completed or launched all scheduled initiatives under MPACT 2025. And that can only be accomplished by our entire community, faculty, staff, students, all of you, the legislature, our alums, our supporters, our donors, every member of our community can see their contribution in the outcomes of MPACT 2025's record-breaking impact, how we can serve the state of Minnesota at world-class levels and beyond. It makes us better and stronger as a system, and I want to express how grateful I am personally and my great pride and appreciation for what we've been able to accomplish together in this shared commitment, particularly considering the very interesting, and I mean that in the Minnesota way, times that we have been going through over these last few years. So, members, thank you. Members of the board, I'd like to close my report with a video shout out about some of the great happenings recently at the University of Minnesota.
Cool.
Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, President Gable. That was an awesome report. The applause, I think, shared our enthusiasm for it, and to be honest, it's a hard act to follow. So I think I'll just skip my chair report. All All right, turning to my report, I'd like to first share an update on the interim president search. As you may have watched in the live stream earlier this week, the board selected Jeff Ettinger as the University of Minnesota's interim president after a very thorough and expeditious search. Jeff is in the audience. Jeff, maybe you want to stand. There we go. Thank you. We are very excited to have Jeff serve the university as our interim president while the Board of Regents undertakes a national search for the university's 18th president. We are currently working on his contract and we will be presenting it to the board at a later date. Once the search for the president gets underway, a search website will be launched where members of the university community can provide input and learn about the status of the process. Since our last board meeting, the Truth Project issued its report, which addresses how the university's history affected and continues to affect Indigenous communities. The board and university administration are grateful to those from the 11 tribal nations and other contributors who willingly took on the arduous research, analysis, and consultation that went into the Truth Project. This undertaking required countless hours of work, and we recognize that the truth-telling that serves as the foundation of the project report is built upon the time, effort, and emotional labor of every individual involved. We also recognize that reliving the events outlined in this report are painful and traumatizing to many, and that we must take care to consider the complex, multi-generational trauma felt by those directly involved in this history or affected by it today. It is important for all of us to take our time processing this extensive report and to provide space and respect for those sharing their experiences, the tribal communities that historically have not had the opportunity to broadly share their lived experiences. We welcome the opportunity to examine the university's history. It is important that we work in collaboration with the tribal nations to chart our course from here. The Truth Project is a reminder of how much work lies ahead for us. In recent years, the university is committed to acknowledging the past and doing the necessary work to begin rebuilding and strengthening its relationships with tribal nations and Native peoples. Some of the work underway includes, we are working with the Fond du Lac Band of the Lake Superior Chippewa and the state of Minnesota to facilitate the return of tribal lands in what is currently the Cloquet Forestry Center. We are in the process of returning tribal ancestor and funerary objects of the Mimbres tradition that have been housed in the Wiseman Art Museum and other non-university locations in Minnesota. In terms of programming and resources, we have increased our investments in Native American students, faculty, and staff, which has included established dedicated housing communities where students can choose to live together and be immersed in Native culture and language, and the Native American Promise Tuition Program, among others. On the Morris campus, formerly the site of a Native American boarding school, the campus is taking many steps guided by tribal representatives to appropriately recognize, address, and work toward healing around the site's troubling history. Openly receiving this report is another step towards honoring the university's commitment. The university also intends to continue the relationship and trust building necessary to help tribal and university communities heal. This work cannot be about checking boxes or implementing change that will not last. Rebuilding trust, maintaining strong relationships with tribal nations and Indigenous communities, and supporting Native learnings is a challenge to which this university must dedicate itself for generations to come. The University of Minnesota will be in a transition period for the next year while it undertakes a search for the next president of the university. But among the various priorities we have for our incoming interim president It is our expectation that the administration will thoroughly review and evaluate the Truth Project and bring forward recommendations to this board for consideration in the future. Turning to another topic, our regent officer elections take place this summer, so I am appointing the nominating committee as required by the board's bylaws. This committee will be chaired by Regent Davenport with Regents Farnsworth and Regent Ruth Johnson as members. Finally, I would like to acknowledge that at the end of another tremendous academic year, it is commencement season. We have regents attending ceremonies to confer degrees and to celebrate our 2023 graduates on all campuses. There is palpable excitement in the air as our community celebrates the accomplishments of our graduates. The board would like to extend a warm congratulations to all of the 2023 graduates. And with that, I conclude my report, and we will turn to the next agenda item. The next agenda item is item 4, which is to receive and file reports. Please note that those items are reported in your docket materials. At this time, we now consider the consent report, which includes 2 items, gifts, and the report of the All Universities Honor Committee. Is there anyone who would like to ask a question, make a comment, or separate an item out from the report to be voted on separately before I invite a motion to recommend approval of the consent report? Yes, Regent Kenyanya.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Not to separate anything or a question, but these are 2 really exciting items, and specifically gifts. I hope we all just take a few minutes to, us here, but just everyone, to always just look at that list and see the generosity towards the university. But just wanted to comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing no other comments or discussion, is there a motion to recommend approval of the consent report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion is approved. Next, we will turn to item 6 on our agenda. As is our tradition in May, the board will take time this morning to recognize and celebrate the faculty, staff, and students who have earned esteemed honors locally, nationally, and internationally over the past year. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to celebrate these individuals today. President Gabel and Provost Croson, I turn it over to you.
Good thing my father was an engineer. I think that's okay. Will that work?
Thank you, Skip.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So super happy to be with all of you today to recognize and honor this remarkable group of university faculty, students, and staff who have received our highest honors, professorships, scholarships, awards, wins. Every single individual that we are commending today is so deserving of both their award and this celebration. They have made countless contributions individually and collectively and are driving the world-class impact here in Minnesota and around the world. So we have 11 different groups to acknowledge, so I will keep it short and turn it over to Provost Croson.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. I am honored to be here today with President Gabel, Chair Mayron, and the Board of Regents, and members of our university community to recognize many of our outstanding faculty, staff, and students who have made particular contributions to our university this past year. A description of each award and all the award recipients are provided in the agenda. On Tuesday evening, we held a larger celebration where many of these individuals were recognized, Their research was described, and they had an opportunity to say a few words. It was a joyous occasion, and we all left inspired and full of optimism for the future of our beloved university. I will ask each award recipient to wait in the audience until your name is announced, and then to please join Chair Mayron and President Gable at the Regent's seal for a photo. After the photo, please step to your right and wait for the rest of the recipients of your award to be recognized. Finally, we will pose for a group photo before having you walk around the horseshoe to greet the Regents and then returning to your seat. Any questions about the choreography? So our first set of awards are the Distinguished McKnight University Professor Awards. These awards recognize and reward our most outstanding mid-career faculty. The winners were chosen on the basis of their scholarly achievements and their potential for greater distinction in their field. The extent to which their achievements have brought distinction to the University of Minnesota, the quality of their teaching advising, and their contributions to the wider community. There are 9 recipients this year, and we'll go in alphabetical order. And we start with Jerica M. Burge from the Department of Family Medicine and Community Health in the medical school at the Twin Cities. There'll be enough. Next, we have Adita Bhan from the Department of Chemical Engineering and Material Science, the College of Science and Engineering at the Twin Cities. Next, we have Bianet Castellanos, American Studies, College of Liberal Arts from the Twin Cities.
By the seal. Gotta get this.
Next, we have Joseph E. Gogler, Division of Health Policy and Management in the School of Public Health in the Twin Cities. Next, we have Jessica Hellman from the Department of Ecology, Evolution, and Behavior in the College of Biological Science in the Twin Cities. Next, we have Pinar Karaha Mandic from the Department of Finance at the Carlson School of Management in the Twin Cities. Next, we have Mohammed Makbel, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, College of Science and Engineering in the Twin Cities. Two recipients of our award were not able to attend today. Ellen W. Demarath from the Division of Epidemiology, Community Health in the School of Public Health, and Rafael Fernandez, Department of Physics and Astronomy, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. And there's someone we forgot. Sorry. Oh, Rafael Fernandez is here. All right. We got one for you too. Please join me in congratulating these distinguished McKnight University professors. Not behind you, in front. Okay.
What's up?
I should be on the edge. That's the yellow shirt.
We can amend the climate plan.
Oh, cool.
Right, we're gonna start. Oh, I need to tear rings for she's against it.
Oh, yeah, we're on the horseshoe.
Thank you so much, Dad. It's good to see you. Yes, thank you.
Good to see you. Good to see you again. Yeah, I was thinking of you during climate action. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations, Rafael. Congratulations.
Exactly.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
And now, the McKnight Land Grant Professorships, which recognizes untenured faculty on the tenure track who have significant accomplishments and great promise. There are 10 recipients this year. The first is Rachel L. Aha in the Department of Kinesiology, School of Kinesiology, College of Education and Human Development at the Twin Cities. Next, we have Ognjen Ilyich from the Department of Mechanical Engineering in the College of Science and Engineering. Or perhaps we don't. All right. Next, we have Sandra Sappho in the School of Public Health in the Twin Cities. Next, we have Tiffany Wolf, the Veterinary Population Medicine, College of Veterinary Medicine in the Twin Cities. And finally, we have Qi Zhang, Chemical Engineering and Materials Science in the College of Science and Engineering. And 4 recipients of the award who we think were not able to attend today. Umbika Bhagdi Damodaran from the Department of Chemistry in the College of Science and Engineering. Christina Camel in Biochemistry, Molecular Biology, and Biophysics. Megan Giddings in the English in the College of Liberal Arts. And Carrie Olberger in the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. Please join me in congratulating our newest McKnight Land Grant professors.
Congratulations. 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 Congrats. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Next, we have our McKnight Presidential Fellows. This program recognizes exceptional faculty who have been newly granted tenure and promotion, or will be later today, to associate professor to recognize their accomplishments and support their ongoing research and scholarship. There are 8 recipients this year. First is George Honor from Food Science and Nutrition, College of Food, Agricultural and Natural Resource Sciences. Next is Luciano Cascetta from Veterinary Population Medicine in the College of Veterinary Medicine. Next is Daniel Chang from the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. Next is Audrey Dorelian from the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. Next is Peter Kang from Earth and Environmental Sciences in the College of Science and Engineering. And next is Christian Uwe from Cultural Studies and Comparative Literature in the College of Liberal Arts. And 2 recipients were unable to attend today: Elizabeth Wrigley Field in the Department of Sociology in the College of Liberal Arts, and Ya Young in Plant and Microbial Biology in the College of Biological Sciences. Please join me in congratulating our newest McKnight Presidential Fellows. Getting it.
He's taking my picture.
Hey, congratulations.
Next,
See you again. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we would like to recognize faculty who received other major awards. First, our inductee into the National Academy of Engineering, Andrew Aline, the Dean of the College of Science and Engineering in the Department of Mechanical Engineering in the College of Science and Engineering. Our newest member of the National Academy of Sciences was unable to be here today, but congratulations to Boris Shklovsky, Physics, Department of Physics and Astronomy in the College of Science and Engineering. Finally, we have 3 new Guggenheim Fellows. None of them were able to join us today either, but please join me in congratulating Pa-Hua He in the Department of Art in the College of Liberal Arts, Tetsuya Yamada in the Department of Art in the College of Liberal Arts, and Kao Kaliya Yang in the Department of English in the College of Liberal Arts. Next, we would like to honor those who have been named to the university's Academy of Distinguished Teachers. Individuals are chosen in recognitions of their outstanding contributions to education. First, we recognize the recipients of the Horace T. Morse University of Minnesota Alumni Award for outstanding contributions to undergraduate education. This year, we recognize Brian Goldberg of the Department of English in the College of Liberal Arts, Kelsey Metzger in the Center for Learning Innovation. Oh, are we supposed to have him up? Oh, we're here. Perfect. Come on up. Sorry. Is Brian here too? Yeah, we'll switch him, sorry. Now we have Brian Goldberg from the Department of English in the College of Liberal Arts. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, no, you're fine. And Wendy Gonzalez Roberts in the Department of Spanish, Division of Humanities from Morris. And 7 award winners who could not be with us today. That's the right section. Ryan Bergstrom from the Department of Geography in the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences at Duluth. Danielle Johannesson in Writing, Department of Humanities, Social Science, and Education at Crookston. Brooke Scarbo in the Department of English, Linguistics, and Writing Studies, College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences at Duluth. Shannon Stevenson in the Department of Biology at the Swenson College of Science and Engineering at Duluth. Shaden Tagadine in Cultural Studies and Comparative Literature in the College of Liberal Arts at the Twin Cities. Jake Wright, Center for Learning Innovation at Rochester, and Elizabeth Wrigley Field, Department of Sociology in the College of Liberal Arts at the Twin Cities. Please join me in congratulating the recipients of this year's Horace T. Morse Alumni Award for outstanding contributions in undergraduate education. Yeah, I know. That's right.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thanks so much. Yeah.
We're handing out peppermint schnapps or something.
Next are the recipients of the award for outstanding contributions to graduate and professional education. The recipients from this year's award are Lisa Feinstack from Speech, Language, Hearing Sciences in the College of Liberal Arts. And Gerald E. Sobelman, Electrical and Computer Engineering, College of Science and Engineering at the Twin Cities. There were 5 additional award winners who told us they could not be here today. Sede Diaz, American Indian Studies, College of Liberal Arts. Greg Donofrio, Department of Architecture, School of Architecture, College of Design. Patricia Frazier, Department of Psychology, College of Liberal Arts. Douglas Hartman, Department of Sociology, College of Liberal Arts. And Donna Whitley, Earth and Environmental Sciences, College of Science and Engineering. Please join me in congratulating this year's outstanding contributions to graduate and professional education award.
Congratulations.
Our next award is the John Tate Award for Excellence in Undergraduate Advising. The Tate Award recognizes and rewards high-quality academic advising and calls attention to the contributions that academic advisors make to helping our students formulate and achieve their intellectual, career, and personal goals. The recipients of this year's award are Bern Christensen, Senior Academic Advisor and Policy and Procedural Specialist in the College of Liberal Arts. and Lindsay Gundecha, Senior Academic Advisor, Carlson School of Management. And two additional award winners who could not be with us today, Rebecca Teasley, Associate Professor in Civil Engineering in the Swanson College of Science and Engineering at Duluth, and Jehon Beetsoon Zerps, the Coordinator, Direct Track to Teaching Program and Instructor in Social Science Education in the College of Education and Human Development. Please join me in congratulating the recipients of this year's John Tate Award for Excellence in Undergraduate Advising.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Our next award is the Outstanding Community Service Award, which recognizes contributions and accomplishments of faculty, staff, or university-affiliated community members who have devoted their time and talent to make substantial and enduring contributions to the broader community and to improve public life and the well-being of society. The recipient of the Staff Award this year is Sarah Axtell from Family Social Sciences, College of Education and Human Development. The recipient of the Faculty Award this year is Lisa Covington Clarkson, Curriculum and Instruction, College of Education and Human Development. And the recipient of the Student Award this year is Madeline Nyblade from Earth and Environmental Sciences from the College of Science and Engineering. The recipient of the Community Partner Award couldn't join us today, but congratulations to Anthony Stately of the Native American Community Clinic. Please join me in congratulating this year's recipients of the Outstanding Community Service Award.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Now, the National Scholarship recipients. First, the recipients of the Fulbright Award, Ibrahim Irfanullah from Biomedical Engineering, the College of Science and Engineering. Udrina Kocharyan from Neuroscience and Medicine in the Medical School in the Twin Cities. Tanner Rogers from Asian Cultures and Media in the Twin Cities. And Abigail Sweetman from German and Economics in LSBE and CAHSS in Duluth. We have some other Fulbrights who were not able to attend today. Alex Griffin in Applied Plant Sciences in the Twin Cities. Claire Harmon in Comparative Studies in Discourse and Society. Kyle Kruger in Mechanical Engineering, College of Science and Engineering. Ben Miranda in German and Spanish in the College of Liberal Arts. And now the winners of the Goldwater Scholarship. Madeline Blake in Neuroscience and Genetics and Cell Biology in the College of Biological Sciences. And Fred Tutt in the Department of Chemical Engineering and Material Sciences in the College of Science and Engineering. Two recipients of the Goldwater Scholarship were not able to attend. Ethan Ashbrook in the Department of Chemistry in the College of Science and Engineering, and Jameson Ward in Earth Sciences in the College of Science and Engineering. Neither of our Truman Scholarships was available to be here, but we do want to recognize Jolise Pecor from American Indian Studies and Art in the College of Liberal Arts, Carter Yost in Communication Studies and Political Science and History in the College of Liberal Arts. That's it for those. Thanks. And we have one more before we take the group picture, which is the Udall Scholarship, which was awarded to Jolise Pecor in American Indian Studies and Art in the College of Liberal Arts. Please join me in congratulating the recipients of this year's national level scholarships.
Congratulations. I know. That's what I thought.
President Gable, I now turn the podium back to you to present the next awards.
All right, thank you, Provost Croson. So next up, we have the President's Community Engaged Scholar Award. This award recognizes one faculty or P&A individual annually for commendable, engaged scholarship in their field of inquiry. The recipients have established an indelible academic career that embodies the University of Minnesota's definition of public engagement. The recipient of this year's award is Greta Friedemann Sanchez.
Thank you, thank you.
Watching this like TV. I forget I'm live over here.
Thank you so much.
I'm also very happy to share with you the recipients of the 2023 President's Award for Outstanding Service. This award was established in 1997 to recognize faculty and staff who've provided exceptional service to the University of Minnesota. It honors active or retired faculty or staff members who have gone well beyond their regular duties, exhibited dedication, and contributed excellence to the university community. I'd like to invite the recipients to join us at the front of the room as I call their names. And then when all recipients who are present are at the front and we acknowledge those who are not present, we'll take one, in this case, one group photo. So Saeed Abdi from the School of Social Work, College of Education and Human Development in the Twin Cities. Patricia Berzins, Veterinary Medical Center, College of Veterinary Medicine in the Twin Cities. Carly Burgee Cohen, Academic Resources Information Technology, from the Academic Support Resources Center in the Twin Cities. Congrats, Carolyn. Matt Edling from Anthropology Laboratories in the Department of Anthropology, College of Liberal Arts in the Twin Cities. Diane Gill from the Office of Public Engagement in the Twin Cities. Leanne Higgins from the Department of Biochemistry, Molecular Biology, and Biophysics in the Medical School and College of Biological Sciences in the Twin Cities. Amy Lee, Department of Writing Studies, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Marcia Nichols from the Center of Learning Innovation in Rochester. Howard Oransky from the Catherine E. Nash Gallery, Department of Art, College of Liberal Arts in the Twin Cities. Marta Dijkhuizen Shore, Division of Biostatistics, School of Public Health in the Twin Cities. And then for those who are not present, Lucinda Johnson from Natural Resources Research Institute in Duluth, and Chris Scrutton from Academic Technology, the Office of Information Technology in the Twin Cities. So please join me in congratulating the 2023 recipients of the President's Award for Outstanding Service.
On that, since it goes to me, So
I needed a break from you. You understand. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It was mutual. It's for the both of us.
All right, our final recognitions, last but certainly not least this morning, are for our student athletes who have either won an NCAA championship or a National Athlete of the Year award during the 2022-2023 academic year. Our individual NCAA champion is Max McHugh for men's swimming 100-yard breaststroke, Twin Cities campus. And then we have 3 National Athletes of the Year. First is Gabby Hughes, who is the recipient of the Hockey Humanitarian Award. This award is presented annually to college hockey's finest citizen, a student athlete who makes significant contributions not only to his or her team, but also to the community at large through leadership and volunteerism. Next is Brooke Olson, who is the Women's Basketball Coaches Association NCAA Division II Player of the Year. The WBCA presents the Player of the Year award annually to the top player in 5 of the 6 WBCA membership divisions. And then Joshua Strong is the recipient of the NCAA Division II Men's Basketball Elite 90 Award. The Elite 90, an award founded by the NCAA, recognizes the true essence of the student athlete by honoring the individual who has reached the pinnacle of competition at the national championship level in his or her sport, while also achieving the highest academic standard amongst his or her peers. Please join me in congratulating all of our exceptional students.
I noticed. You're eager to read it. It's good to be eager to read.
Thank you, everyone. How about one more round of applause for all of our awardees?
Congratulations. Yeah.
Probably for the best.
going to do that. We're going to take a short 10-minute recess, and then we will resume the board meeting.
because I'm right-handed.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll resume the Board of Regents meeting. This brings us to item 7, an update on the President's Initiative for Student Mental Health. I'd like to invite PRISM co-chairs Maggie Toll and Tabitha Greed-Reed to present. President Gable, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you, Chair Mayron, Co-Vice Chairs Hipsch and Kenyanya, and members of the board. So just to level set, a new survey by Gallup and the Lumina Foundation highlighted mental health struggles facing college students, including 2 in 5 undergrads, nearly half of female students, all of whom say they frequently experience emotional distress while attending college. And more than 40% of students currently enrolled in an undergraduate degree program have considered dropping out in the past 6 months, up from 34% in the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic. These are national statistics, not specific to the University of Minnesota, but members of the board at the University of Minnesota, we recognize the critical need to address and support student mental health in light of trends like these, particularly in light of everything our community has gone through over the last few years. So, 2 summers ago, we launched PRISM, which stands for President's Initiative for Student Mental Health, which is a key deliverable in MPACT 2025. And we've since made important progress in this effort, including new investments in mental health resources and broadening existing initiatives, along with centering support in mental health practices amidst our learning environments. In fact, at the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities, or APLU's Mental Health Summit last year, one of their recommended best practices was to create an institutional task force using PRISM as a model. So members of the board, we are proud to serve as leaders in this important work in creating a community of care and in helping students flourish now and in the future. And we're committed to deepening this work and ensuring its sustainability as we head into year 3 of the initiative. I want to very much thank our PRISM committee and our work groups for their sustained support of our goals, but my particular thanks to our co-chairs, Tabitha Greer-Reed, Associate Dean and Professor in the College of Education and Human Development, and Senior Associate Vice President for Student Affairs, Maggie Towle, who have co-chaired PRISM and who are here today, along with Kate Elwell, our subject matter expert from Boynton Health. And at this time, I would like to turn the presentation over to them.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Chair Mayron, President Gable, Vice Chairs Hipsch and Kenyanya, and members of the board. It's a pleasure to sit before you during this month of mental health awareness. And what I believe was a shining example of vision and foresight, President Gable's PRISM supports MPACT 2025 Commitment 1, Student Success, and Commitment 4, Community and Belonging. At the root of PRISM is the recognition that addressing and supporting our students' mental health is critically important, and our ability to understand root causes and mitigation opportunities is crucial. As noted by the President, mental health is disproportionately worsening among young adults aged 18 to 24, and marginalized and vulnerable communities often experience added stressors that exacerbate mental health challenges. In fact, the Surgeon General has declared a youth mental health crisis in our country, where many young people have sought professional care for mental health challenges, including, but not limited to, mental illness. Rising to meet these challenges, PRISM's primary areas of focus are prevention and upstream efforts, research, allyship and early detection, services and treatment, and communications. We know that the answer is not simply to add more mental health providers on our campuses. Instead, we must take an all-hands-on-deck, multifaceted approach that strategically aligns our resources across the U of M system. To that end, our task force includes representation across all 5 of our system campuses and uses a public health model of mental health to address mental illness, including root causes, support mental health and well-being, and focus on prevention. PRISM started in 2021, and as we come to the end of our 2nd year, we're delighted to share our progress. Whereas year 1 primarily focused on surveying the landscape of mental health across our system and organizing ourselves into work groups to address challenges, year 2 has been about delivering on programs, trainings, and strategic collaborations. To borrow from my counseling group theory coursework, year 1 was really about norming and forming, and year 2 has been about working, and so we are truly in the working stage. As an example, we partnered with the Masonic Institute of the Developing Brain on a seed grant to address root causes and interventions for mental health problems. This partnership allowed us to leverage $50 of the $100,000 in non-recurring funds allocated to PRISM by the president into $200,000 of seed grant money, resulting in a competition that yielded not one, but two excellent proposals, allowing us to address root causes via Dr. Ip's study focused on the role of structural racism in adolescent mental health, and intervention via the colorfully named Imagination Studio by Dr. Cullen and colleagues, focused on promoting flourishing and reducing symptoms of depression for University of Minnesota College students. With these exceptional scholars from the Institute of Child Development, the #1 program in the country, and the Department of Psychiatry, these studies will be completed over the next year. We also partnered on a number of training efforts to build competence and confidence of our faculty and staff to address student mental health challenges. And these included things like making effective referrals, responding to student suicidality, and reducing barriers in the classroom via inclusive course design. In addition to launching trainings, our strategic collaboration with the Center for Educational Innovation and the Office of the Executive Vice President and Provost led to the Higher Learning Commission Quality Initiative proposal focused on transforming learning environments to support student mental health. This was recently approved, and it includes both the Twin Cities and Rochester campuses. And this quality initiative proposal really helps to institutionalize the work of PRISM in ways that will extend beyond our 3-year sunset. In addition, we have had a national presence with special attention to providing resources for the state of Minnesota. For example, PRISM served as a launching pad for my Agricultural Experiment Station project, resulting in a cultural health conference on March 31st of this year. A total of 492 people from 18 states and 6 countries registered for the one-day virtual conference, but 454 of those were Minnesotans. There were over 300 synchronous attendees, and having senior advisor to the president on Native American Affairs, Karen Diver, as our closing keynote speaker was a highlight. And I really couldn't have been more proud of this conference. We had speakers like Dr. Tally Vang, a governor appointee to the Culturally Informed and Culturally Responsive Mental Health Task Force. It was an incredible day that presented a robust opportunity to more fully consider culture in discussions of mental health and well-being. In addition, we were invited to present our work at the American Educational Research Association, or AERA. The national conference was in Chicago this past April, and we were invited as panelists. We were fortunate to have Dr. Kaz Nelson, Distinguished Fellow of the American Psychiatric Association and PRISM subject matter expert, present on our behalf. Dr. Nelson reported that the session went very well, and we've also been engaged in outreach across the system. I'll turn it over to my colleague, Senior Associate Vice President of Student Affairs, Maggie Towle, to share.
Thank you, Dr. Greer-Reed. Laura Knutson, former Assistant Vice Provost for Student Affairs, and I visited all system campuses during fall semester to meet with students, staff, and faculty to discuss how they are supporting student mental health and well-being. I was quite impressed with the level of programs and services they offer their students. At Crookston, where 41% of their students are athletes, they have established a system where athletes are able to take time off for mental health days as needed. In addition, they have a first-year seminar course called Introduction to University Life, which includes sessions with counseling services staff to discuss and practice helpful coping skills for students, as well as utilize the Learn to Live assessment and education module, which we have on all our campuses. I enjoyed hearing about their Golden Eagle Wellness Committee, where they send regular emails and produce bathroom posters to promote well-being practices and resources. As Jody Ramberg, the Counseling Services Director, said, students say, if you want us to read it, put it in the bathrooms. They have developed a serenity room where students can go and relax, nap, meditate, journal, and find resources to support their mental health. On the Duluth campus, they have great synergy between their health service and student counseling services by being co-located in the same facility, which makes access and referrals seamless for students. In addition, the Green Bandana Project and You Matter partnered to create a video including athletes to stomp out the stigma of asking for help. I also learned that a number of system efforts started at UMD, as they were the first ones to implement Let's Talk programs, Pet Away Worries and Stress, affectionately known as PAWS, that's P-A-W-S, as well as Student Sleep Initiative, so hats off to Duluth for their leadership. At our visit to Rochester, I learned about their mental health ambassador program and how the students go through 10 hours of training and receive a mental health certificate. Those who have successfully completed the program are expected to be an ambassador the following academic year. They are expected to raise awareness of the importance of mental health needs on campus, educate students and staff through campaigns, presentations, and workshops. This has been a very popular and positive experience, and they currently have 20 active ambassadors on their campus. In addition, they have created a community of well-being strategic team to promote prevention, health, and well-being, including de-stress events and relaxation events, to name just a few strategies. On the Morris campus, I learned about their course called Reclaiming Happiness, which teaches evidence-based positive psychology concepts such as optimism, gratitude, positive emotions, and the importance of positive relationships. Wait lists are common for this particular course, which demonstrates the need students have for some positivity and happiness in their lives. I was very impressed with their Native American Student Success Program and how they have a physical presence of mental health services such as Let's Talk sessions and an embedded counselor right there in the center, which provides seamless access to students. Now, I understand that the Morris staff were able to give you many more details about their embedded student mental health work at your March meeting, but I also fully am aware that there's 4 new board members, so they may have to get you up to speed on the good work they're doing on Morris campus. On the Twin Cities campuses, there are many quick access on-demand services that students can access immediately or on the same day. Boynton provides psychiatric care and medication management for students, and this is a critical service as psychiatry is difficult to access in the community due to the long waiting list. Student counseling services in Boynton offer individual and group therapy and culturally responsive and gender-affirming care. Student counseling services in Boynton both have diverse mental health providers and try to recruit from the communities that students represent. Counseling therapy groups can be the most effective way to address the common concerns facing many students. Embedded counseling is expanding to include more units each year. Currently, we have counselors embedded in the Carlson School of Management, Colleges of Veterinary Medicine, School of Dentistry, College of Pharmacy, Center for Allied Health Programs, and Doctor of Physical Therapy program. We have a very successful mental health advocate program, which Kate Elwell will address in just a few more minutes. So now we are going to pivot to updating you on the work group outcomes achieved this past year, and I will hand it back to Dr. Greer-Reed.
Thank you, Senior Associate Vice President Tao. Earlier, I alluded to the organization of PRISM into work groups, and I want to take time now to acknowledge our work group leaders. These include Caitlin Swinney and Rune Saeed, 2 College of Education and Human Development graduate students who co-chaired our research work group throughout spring of 2022. Sue Wick and Aaron Keys, who co-chaired the faculty work group throughout spring 2022. And special thank you to Tammy Burberry, a Morris faculty, who came on as co-chair this academic year. I want to recognize Sumya Singh and Savala DeVoge, who were the inaugural co-chairs of our communications work group, and much appreciation to Casey Gregerson and Lisa Stevenson, who took up the mantle as current co-chairs. Finally, thank you to Sarah Kruger-Hilger and Coralie Peterson, the inaugural co-chairs of the Services and Treatment Group, and my sincerest appreciation to current co-chairs, Kate Elwell, who is here today, and Jean Williamson. As you may can tell, PRISM is a relay race and not a sprint. We've been buoyed by the energy, enthusiasm, and new ideas of leaders who take up the mantle to continue the work. So as we end year 2, we are proud of the milestones our work groups have helped us achieve, including the launching and execution of the SEED grant program highlighted earlier, and the deep, really behind the scenes work of our faculty work group system-wide on initiatives resulting in the fundamentals of disability accommodations and inclusive design training, and the quality initiative proposal also highlighted earlier. So as we end our second of 3 years, we celebrate our accomplishments and set our sights further. And I'll turn it over to my co-chair. to discuss work in progress.
Thank you, Dr. Greer-Reed. The Communications Work Group has proposed the creation of a centralized portal that has all of the mental health and well-being resources in one place, which is something we have consistently heard from students as a high priority to ease access to the many resources we have to support their mental health. We are currently evaluating using the existing MyU platform, which we can easily customize the portal for each of our unique campuses. In addition to the portal, this committee is planning on developing an awareness campaign strategy by reinvigorating a well-being coalition to raise awareness of and engagement with the MyU Student Mental Health and Wellbeing tab. Now I will turn it over to Kate Elwell, Senior Health Promotion Specialist from Boynton Health.
Thank you, Senior Associate Vice President Tell. The Services and Treatment Work Group of PRISM is composed of counseling directors and licensed providers from each campus, as well as students, administrators, student affairs professionals, academic advisors, and library staff. During the 2022-2023 academic year, the group focused on telehealth offerings and expansion of the Mental Health Advocates Initiative. The group proposed the creation of an internal system-wide telehealth network of therapists and psychiatric nurse practitioners to serve the system. This proposal aims to better meet student demand for counseling and psychiatric medication appointments, as there is no anticipated decline in demand for these services. Additionally, this proposal seeks to provide culturally appropriate mental health care to support the retention of and graduation rates for underrepresented minority students by providing culturally responsive mental health care. Consultation on this proposal is currently taking place, and if endorsed, funding would need to be identified. The Mental Health Advocates Initiative has been in place on the Twin Cities campus since 2016, providing training for university employees to meet the needs of students experiencing poor mental health and high levels of stress. Additionally, the training introduces employees to best practices for identifying and addressing unnecessary sources of stress facing students while maintaining academic rigor. As an aside, 5 of today's award winners were mental health advocates. This year, the training material has been adapted for the Morris campus in partnership with Morris faculty, administrators, and student affairs colleagues. The initiative will launch at Morris this summer. The updated training will launch on the Twin Cities campus in the fall, and we will explore expansion to Crookston, Duluth, and Rochester in 2024. Now I will turn it back over to PRISM co-chair Dr. Tabitha Greer-Reed.
Thank you, Senior Health Promotion Specialist Elwell. As we come to the end of our presentation and consider what's next, I want to share 2 exciting cultural health initiatives across the Twin Cities and Morris campuses. These are currently being finalized, but one is led by Carrie Michaels, Extension faculty, public health expert, and PRISM member. With a small cultural health mini grant, she's partnering with undergraduate students from diverse communities to adapt mental health resources in culturally responsive ways. The other is led by Tammy Burberry of the Morris campus, who aims to bring Susan Birch to Morris to work with 2 of her most recent projects, Committed, Native Families, Institutionalization, and Remembering, as well as the collaborative special issue of Disability Studies Quarterly on disability and indigeneity. So these projects will occur over the next year. Finally, I want to take this moment to formally announce that I will be stepping down as PRISM co-chair at the end of June. President Gable, I want to thank you for seeing something in me and choosing to elevate me to co-lead your signature initiative. It has been a precious task and a tremendous learning experience, and it has been my great honor to carry out this work on your behalf for the University of Minnesota system. I understand that a new co-chair will be named to continue the work, and my co-chair, Senior Associate Vice President Towle, can discuss additional PRISM next steps.
Thank you, Dr. Greer-Reed, and I'm also very sorry you're stepping down. It's been a pleasure to work with you these past 2 years, so I'll miss you. Move on with the initiative. Over the next year, we will be continuing to work on additional training videos for faculty and staff and create a mental health front door to easily access mental health resources. We will also be exploring wellness navigator positions for the colleges and the schools. The College of Food, Agriculture, and Sciences and the Law School have recently added these positions, and we are very impressed with the role the Wellness Navigator can play in supporting students, helping to get them to the appropriate resources, whether it's mental health support, food insecurity, emergency funds, or access to academic study skill support. They take a holistic approach in supporting their students' basic needs. At the end of the next fiscal year, PRISM will transition to the Office for Student Affairs, led by Vice President Calvin Phillips. So thank you so much for your time this morning, and we are now ready to address any questions you may have.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Greer-Reed. I hope this means you're not stepping away from the university, but just from your position as co-chair. Thank you for all that you have done with your team here. It's fantastic. You know, when there are certain things that are existential that can threaten students to their core, and mental health is one of them, and not just students, faculty, humans generally. Sustainability, yesterday we talked about that, climate change. The work of your group has been outstanding, as was the work that was presented to us yesterday. So thank you so much for all that you have been doing to hopefully keep the underpinnings of what drives this university safe. So thank you very much. All right, we will take questions. We'll start with Regent Verhalen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Associate Dean Dr. Greer-Reed, Senior Vice President Towle, and Senior Specialist Elwell, thank you so much. I mean, the amount of work that has gone into this effort over the last couple years has been absolutely amazing and so important, as Chair Mayron said, to support our students and support staff and faculty and everyone along the way. But as you acknowledged, our work's not done. We have a lot more to do, and we need to continue providing these important resources to support and adopt changes throughout the university, but there is a cost to these. You know, it's mental health, but it's not always covered by insurance. It's not always covered by other means, and so we need to continue investing in this. And so what things do we as the Board of Regents need to keep in mind around this important initiative as we go forward?
Great question. Sure, I can. Chair Mayron.
Take it how you will.
Verhalen. Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I think you're spot on in terms of the costs. I mean, we have been adding more mental health providers every year, and we know that we can't continue at that pace. But I do think one of the things I mentioned at the very end of the presentation is looking at this wellness navigator position in each of the colleges and schools would be something to think about. The embedded counseling model has become a national trend, so the counselors are in those colleges. They know what the academic rigor the students are going through. So, and then the telehealth, as Kate Elwell mentioned, I think is a really nice, accessible. That's what the one good thing that came out of COVID is doing the mental health and telehealth. And so I think continuing to do that is something that we would love to do. That's an expense that we'll have to address. Go ahead.
Say, Chair Mayron.
Yes.
Regent Verhalen, members of the board. My day job is Associate Dean for Graduate Education and Faculty Development in the College of Education and Human Development that I'm fully committed to.
Thank you.
And I will say, throughout the 2 years of work with PRISM, every conversation about student mental health just about seems to also be buttressed by what about faculty and staff mental health.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that is, I think, a next chapter, and I think a necessary next chapter, and that is certainly something to be thinking about when we're thinking about investments.
Thank you.
Any follow-up? Okay.
No, thank you, Chair Mayron.
All right, Regent Davenport.
Thank you, Chair Mayron, and thank you for the work that you're doing. I want to echo the thanks you've already received. Very, very important work. I want to comment on your Higher Learning Commission project because I know those are very rigorous and will produce some real good data outcomes, I imagine. Those are tough, so I know you'll do well with that. You addressed my question a little bit on telehealth in that I was wondering how responsive the students are to using that, and maybe elaborate just a little bit more about that as a mechanism for access as you indicated. And then my second question is related to your strategic collaborations on services and how you are leveraging perhaps graduate programs in psychology clinics, that two-way street between learning and service. And thank you.
Sure, Chair Mayron, Regent Davenport, I'll take the first question, which is about how the students are reacting to the telehealth. They love it. Actually, when we returned to campus, we decided to give the students an option whether they wanted to meet with the mental health providers in person or via telehealth. And I think it's about 50-50 right now. The other thing we're doing is we're piloting early morning hours and early evening, late evening hours. That seems to be a big hit with our students that have a lot of academic rigor, especially in College of Veterinary Medicine, for example. The later hours are working for them. So we plan on continuing to offer that telehealth moving forward, both the in-person and via Zoom. And we have also provided, we have confidential spaces that students can go to if they're on campus and they want to do telehealth. You know, we don't want them sitting in the library or next to other students when they're talking to their mental health providers. So that's been actually going really well. And I don't know if you want to take the second part of the question, Tabitha.
On collaboration with perhaps graduate programs.
Yeah, in our student counseling services, we have, I don't know, I need to call Michelle on this one. Michelle, do you want to come up? I'm going to phone a friend for this one.
I was going to say, call a friend.
I'll be able to give.
Hello, board members. Nice to see you today. Thank you. So I'm the interim director at Student Counseling Services, Michelle Bettine. I use she, her pronouns. And within the student counseling services, we do have training programs. We do use some master's level, practicum level, advanced practicum level students, as well as that we have a APA accredited doctoral internship. We have had to reduce the size of that a couple years ago due to just funding restrictions because those salaries have been increasing across the country. We do believe in those training programs, and that's a big part of our identity within student counseling services. You mentioned a community clinic. I know that other universities expand their training programs to provide a clinic that provides services to students as well as the community. We don't do that at this time, but certainly value our trainees. And we also see that as part of our initiatives to expand the diversity of providers. So we know we need to expand mental health providers. As a country, it's hard to recruit and retain these folks, particularly those with marginalized identities and our students are asking for that. They want more providers that look like them, that share experiences. Our international students spoke a lot in recent student listening sessions we did, saying we want providers that understand that experience. So we really see training as part of expanding that part of our field.
Thank you.
Any follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Regent Wheeler.
Yeah, thank you. This is so critically important. I'm so impressed with what you've already done and the focus you've had on this. I mean, those of us who have been in healthcare haven't seen anything like this degree of suffering. And what you're doing is giving life-enabling and oftentimes life-saving interventions. So I can't thank you enough, all of you, for focusing on this issue. And I will too say that President Gabel, this is something you helped lead and led through, and we will forever be grateful for that as well. My question is, and I'm glad about the telehealth thing, we found that our mental health patients were more than anybody wanting and adopting mental health. And we think that much of that was because of access to care, but much of it was also because of stigma. So I'm wondering, what you have seen, witnessed, or how we might participate in further reducing the stigma that acts as a barrier to care, and any other barriers that you have seen.
Sure. Chair Mayron, Regent Wheeler, members of the board. One of the pieces that I'm really excited about is the work of Carrie Michaels and the Cultural Health Mini Grant next year. Carrie we are so fortunate to have really smart, dedicated people in our task force, and that that's the only reason that we're experiencing the successes that we are. And one of the things that she raised this spring was that, what I see missing is a campaign, like a public health campaign. And she's a public health expert, and I found that feedback exciting and very challenging. But she was right, and our new communications co-chairs also really embraced that. And so the ways that we are thinking about messaging for the mental health front door that has a well-being tab, right there for people to click on, and resources. The way that Carrie is thinking about working directly with undergraduates from culturally minoritized groups to make the mental health resources accessible and responsive and less othering or stigmatizing, I think are some really exciting ways that we will move into that space next year more fully.
That's great.
Yes, did you?
Yep, yeah, Chair Mayron, Regent Wheeler, members of the board. I just would like to add to that. I'm really glad you asked that question, because I think something that would be really helpful is to have faculty, senior leaders, and others put a face to mental health, or producing these videos for faculty and staff, and even members of the board, if people would, share their own stories if you have them. I think that would be really powerful for our students in terms of, it's all of us deal with mental health issues, no matter what our ages are. So I think that would be something to think about as well.
Thank you very
much.
much. Thank you, Chair Mayron.
Thank you. Regent Kenyanya.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for the presentation, the conversation, and the work. And I think, we don't have the benefit of having our student reps here today, but I'm sure they would be echoing much of the same. This has been, a really key topic, and we heard in our March report from the student reps at Morris. They kind of took us through the journey of years, close to a decade now of them elevating that at pretty much every year's report, including the one I delivered. And you mentioned the conversation we had in Morrison learning about the work, they're doing. And, ever since then, I got really interested in that aspect of just making sure we're not making it any more challenging, that it needs to be for students in, higher education, which is already, a time where lots being asked of you. And I've brought that up a few times since then, including last week. And anytime I bring that up or talk with people, all I'm finding out is that faculty really are and have been thinking about this and are innovating on it. And including last week, I brought this up and actually got an email from Mary Jetter from the, looks like that's a friend. It looks like from the Center of Education Innovation, which you talked about in your report. And by the way, if Mary's watching, sorry I haven't replied, been a little preoccupied, but I fully read it and appreciated what she was, she kind of previewed some of the collaboration you've done and shared that document practices to supporting mental wellness and mental health and well-being, and mentioned that the focus wasn't just, as you brought up, not just on the students, but on the staff and faculty. One, obviously, we have to focus on that because it's the right thing, but then two, because there's an impact, right? When the chair's not in a good mood, we all feel it in this committee. And today's a good day, though. So I definitely appreciate why that's important to be thinking about the faculty and staff as well. So my question. And before I get to my question, I want to echo the thanks to President Gabe. PRISM started on your inauguration day. That it was that week, that was started. So clearly a priority and probably something you heard from the interviews and whatnot, and just hearing the feedback from the campus. So appreciate elevating that. My question is, how do we kind of have dual priorities of if accommodating is the right word, students while they're here, but also equipping them for when they're not here. And, you know, I know the increase was really dramatic during the COVID years and since, but I think the trend, you know, had been there, you know, even before that. And obviously we know part of that is because people were more comfortable seeking and reporting, but either way, I mean, that trend is there. So, you know, obviously as we think of the more recent students that were here during the COVID years, we obviously don't know how they're doing now. And I don't know how you even know that, but, you know, how do we also instill some tools for resilience and dealing with these issues that the students are going to encounter after they leave here?
Either one of you want to tackle that multi-question?
Chair Mayron, Regent Kenyanya, members of the board. I did not expect that to be the question you ended with.
Which one did you have in mind? Yeah, we could start with that one.
Pick
I
a
was
question,
planning
any
to
question.
thank the executive vice president and provost for being such a wonderful partner and CEI.
That's my follow-up.
And of course, you know, the significant overlap that we see between students with mental health diagnoses and those who are receiving accommodations. I have multiple responses. I suppose I'll start with saying this, and that is that we're in a really challenging time in higher ed. You know, I came here to earn my master's degree in 1997. So the 90s, a period of IDEA and really opening and access. And we have been opening and we have been providing access, and we've done it in K through 12. And now what we're seeing is people who maybe weren't at the university before or didn't have as much access in the past here now. And we are really challenged to reorient ourselves to address needs that maybe we haven't or weren't formed to address. And so it's a real and it's an important challenge. And maybe it's also just a microcosm of what we're experiencing on a larger level in our society, of how we deal with more diversity and more access. So I think some of it is about thinking differently. I mean, one of the things I've found myself saying is student mental health is everybody's everyday work, and including the students, right? And I think the quality initiative proposal is a really exciting way to think about how we actually think about mental health, how we actually transform spaces that are supportive and generative of well-being. And honestly, I would like to work in a space like that, right? So maybe there is room for us to figure out how we value people better so that we, you know, create a healthier culture at our institution. So I think there's room for that. And I will say, as a counseling psychologist, you know, so my training was all about higher ed and college students. So that I worked in college counseling centers, and those were the hours that I used to get my license. And those models were always about equipping people, right? Equipping people to better navigate their lives. And so I think attending to mental health is not so much about enabling people as it is about equipping people to live up to their potential. And if you ask me like what my leadership slogan is, it is to develop people to reach their potential. And I think if we attend to mental health in real ways, that is what we do.
Any follow-up?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that, and that makes sense. And I guess I wasn't trying to say it's enabling. I think we're ahead of the rest of the world, right? And we hope they get there, and we hope we continue to improve. But no, that was helpful, and I think that same discussion that faculty are having about how can they, you know, make it easier is something we need to be thinking about for students, but certainly for faculty and staff as we're thinking about, you know, the discussions we're having and policies and whatnot. And I guess where we don't see that, I think that that feedback would be helpful on X proposal, X policy. Hey, you know, this may be the unintended, but appreciate the conversation. Dr. Greer-Reed, I think my question for you was a little tough probably because of the conversation we had 30 minutes ago where she reminded me I don't have a ring on my finger. So maybe that's where that energy came from. Thank you, Madam Chair.
We missed that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Regent Ruth Johnson.
I don't know how to follow that. Thank you, Chair Mayron, distinguished presenters. When 4 of us joined the board in 2021, COVID was already underway. And my day job as a practicing clinician, physician, I was just so pleased to see that PRISM program is already underway. I want to say thank you for the incredible job you've done here on this campus and really on all 5 of our campuses. And I want to thank the president for visionary leadership in getting this launched. One of my questions was to ask about faculty and staff. So if there's, if there are plans or thoughts for that, I think that's really important. One thing was I'll just mention briefly about resilience or whatever. Where I practice, we actually have a program that's goes by the acronym of SMART, and it's Stress Management and Resilience Training. And so that's something we've launched to do with a lot of people. So, I just think there are programs like that available too that can help people when they're not necessarily in an acute, serious situation, but maybe through that, but helping people to have lifelong skills to cope with all the stresses that we have in our lives and our work. So, but thank you so much for what you've done.
Thank you very much. Any comments by the speakers?
Yes, thank you, Chair Mayron, Regent Johnson. A pleasure to see you again, members of the board. I do want to say the Teaching with Flexibility document, that was something that the faculty work group really worked hard on. And then they said, you know what? We also want to think about high impact practices. So, right, if faculty's in a good mood, it helps, it affects me, right? And so when I'm doing my mindfulness for students, it's also helping me. And so they are really have been thinking about how to move in that space and create those kinds of resources, and connecting with the Bakken Center and strategically aligning with those. And so the SMART also feels like such a great fit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Regent El-Arabi.
Thank you, Chair Mayron, and thank you, presenters, for a really excellent follow-up to the effort. I too think it's so important. I mean, we came out of we're still maybe in it, a really difficult period of isolation. And I think we know no matter how hard it is, we still need each other, right? So to be ahead and to invest in these kinds of initiatives, I think is really important for the university. My question, I know I see some of the next steps, and I'm curious about, are there particular things that you think we could be doing more on the preventive side, right? I know that we are undergoing a climate survey, for example, and I'm curious, are there things that we should better align across, the whole university in order to also support whole people, right? Both faculty and students in a different way and better, so that it just also is an environment in which I think, as you spoke about, where people know that they matter, right? And that we all go through tough situations, but also this is a place where we want everybody to be excelling no matter their role. And so my question is really just that. Do you see, or how does it align with some of the other efforts that are happening across the university? And just are there things that we might do that we haven't done that are more preventative? Yeah.
Chair Mayron, Regent El-Arabi. I think that's a really great question and something that PRISM is continuing to talk about and discuss. I mean, we've been trying to think of, in addition to this wonderful training modules that the staff are putting together, we're trying to think of things such as, we had a conversation about Right now, students need to turn their assignments in by midnight. So we had a conversation with, should the deadline be earlier, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, so that because we really want our students to get their sleep. But then, in talking to the faculty, they were open to that idea, but then they started to say, well, why don't we turn this around and look at what they're doing in K through 12 and have later start times? So maybe we don't have the 8 o'clock classes anymore, so the students can sleep in a little bit. So those are some of the things, we're trying to think of just systemic kinds of things that might be more supportive of our students. And I don't know, Tabitha, if you have anything else you want to add, or Kate on the preventative side.
Chair Myron, Regent Tower Urabe, thank you for that question, members of the board. What Maggie was talking about with the start times, we partnered with the Office for Institutional Research to look at the data from fall 2022. About 130,000 registration pieces. And what we saw that there's a trend that the classes that begin between 8 a.m. and 9:59 a.m. have more seats available than the registration fills, and that is worse for the 1,000 level classes. At the 5,000 level, it evens out. So the seats align with the demand, basically. When we think about this, that's adjustable, right? That's something that we could fix to help students achieve the sleep that they're seeking. It's also an equity issue because your registration time depends on how many credits you arrive with. And students who come from well-resourced high schools might arrive with more credits and have those better registration times. So how are we disadvantaging certain students coming from lower resource settings? Yeah.
That's good. Any follow-up, Regent Urabe?
No.
Thank you very much. Regent Hipsch.
Thanks.
And I think that's our last speaker, and we'll bring this to conclusion then.
Okay, I'll jump right into my question.
All right. No questions, I'll object.
I'm just teasing Michael. The question I have is the role of social media, and it's a big mega trend we have in this country, and we don't know much about it, how that's affecting mental health. I know it affects me up and down. It can almost instantly, and the connection, we're 24/7 connected, and texts are going off all night and whatever. So how does that, has the group looked at that at all?
Presenters, anyone want to tackle it?
Yours was tougher than mine, Tech.
The short answer, stop using social media.
Regent Hipsch, members of the board, what can I say? I mean, I think there's plenty of research around some of the effects that the use of social media has for the self-esteem of young girls and things like that. College students are adults, right? And so I think it is a much larger problem than like it really is a social problem, right? Of understanding how we are interfacing with technology. And so I'm sorry, I'm getting very sort of intellectual in that we are in this huge moment of societal change, and technology innovation is just one of them that we're trying to get our heads around, including AI, including a number of those things. And so I will say, and this is a little bit related to the previous question, one of the ways that PRISM has been operating, I think, is really trying to stay true to the arrow that President Gable set, which is strategic alignment of resources. And so the work that was discussed earlier, for instance, was in collaboration with the Wellness Work Group for Impact 2025. So I think that we are leveraging, every opportunity to better address the needs of students, but I think also respect student autonomy, right? And so it's a tricky balance, but doom scrolling, it's bad.
Anything further by presenters? Well, thank you very much for all of the work. It's absolutely terrific, and we look forward to keep seeing the iterations and how it evolves. It will not stop.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to welcome Chancellor Carroll and Chancellor Holtz-Claus to present on Next Gen Med and Next Gen Ag, respectfully. As they're coming up to the hot seat there, President Gable.
Thank you, Chair Mayron, Co-Vice Chairs Hipsh and Kenyanya, and members of the board. So there were a lot of lessons during the pandemic, and one of the silver linings as we emerge is that we learned a lot about technology and how we could use technology in new ways, and how it can amplify and catalyze solutions, including how we can think about leveraging technology to reach students that we otherwise might not be able to reach, or to work with our students in new ways. As part of the strategic plan, we had commitments to distributed learning platforms and making new investments and new thought around leaning into distributed learning and online education. And with inspiration from the pandemic, we came to establish our innovative Next Gen platform, which ties directly to our commitment to increase innovative and high-quality educational offerings across modes of delivery to reach students where they are. So our approach was intended to focus on and align strategically with the university's strengths, particularly those in the Minter section's commitment, and to make sure we were looking at areas where we could be unique and fill niches or gaps, because we believe that differentiation is a key to the success of the programs, the service to the students, and a good way for us to work within our financial constraints. So with this targeted approach, and with our focus on what we've identified through the strategic planning process, we're using the Next Gen platform as a system-wide model. So members of the board today, we're providing an update on that work with a focus on the implementation of Next Gen Med, which went first. This is at the Rochester campus, and it is a unique program that is re-envisioning healthcare education by shaving almost 2 years from the time to a traditional bachelor's degree, by virtue of a proprietary platform leveraging the Google Cloud technology, the strengths and care provided in the Rochester model, and then matchmaking with paid internship and mentors at the Mayo Clinic. We also are able to focus today on Next Gen Ag, which is anchored at the Crookston campus. This uses the same technology, but strengthens Minnesota's deep connection to food and ag by leveraging this technology to establish an educational model that shortens the path to degree, primarily for those in the food and ag industry who may not be close to or have work commitments that prevent them from attending a traditional campus or on a traditional schedule. I want to extend my sincere appreciation to Chancellor Carroll and Chancellor Holtzclaws and their teams, and our corporate partners and our friends at Google for their ingenuity, hard work, and commitment to this platform and everyone it serves and will serve. And I definitely want to thank Vice President Bernie Galacek and all of those across the system who make sure our information technology runs. They are unsung heroes, especially we saw over the last few years, that keep us going in the traditional ways and help us be cool and innovative in these new ways. So with that, Madam Chair, I'd like to turn it over to our chancellors for their presentation.
Thank you very much. I want to know if you each shared the memo about the blue jacket today. All right, I just was curious.
Yes, of course, before we packed our bags a couple of days
It
ago.
shows up beautifully on the Zoom screen. Thank you.
President Gable, Chair Mayron, co-chairs, regents, the Next Gen story began in a crisis as educators at all levels were forced to adapt. We shifted our perspectives, and it led us to ask new questions. In higher ed, we began to wonder, how do we artfully blend high tech and high touch? We wondered, how can we use educational research to design for better outcomes? We wondered, how can we be career connected and have transformative learning? How can we decrease the cost while increasing student success? And how can we work together across disciplines and roles and with employer partners to imagine and create new options in this emerging new era of higher education? As you know, the University of Minnesota is guided toward an ever greater impact on our state and beyond through our system-wide strategic plan, Impact 2025. The ambitious goals of this plan were selected to directly impact the people of Minnesota, including our focus on student success, our commitment to address critical talent shortages, and our determination to apply research to solve emergent societal challenges. To meet these aims in the evolving environment of this second decade of the 21st century, innovation is imperative. NextGen is one of the university's innovative efforts to drive solutions that connect human-centered design with cutting-edge technology, fueling momentum toward Impact 2025 goal attainment. We've emerged from the pandemic with a heightened awareness of students' needs. Partnering with Google Cloud, the university crafted the NextGen platform, and the elements of this tool align with our aspiration to meet these needs and to enhance student success. For example, decreasing student anxiety with clear organization of learning resources, which lessens the cognitive load. Enhancing students' sense of belonging through intentional learner communities, ensuring easy access to faculty and success coaches, and making clear the connection of today's learning with tomorrow's career. Of course, tech tools do not design and deliver transformative learning experience or drive equitable outcomes. Faculty do that creative work. Designing learning to enhance student success and retention, degree completion, and career launch requires collaboration by faculty teams with input from employer partners and student development professionals. This is not a typical curricular process. In NextGen programs, we focus not only on content, but on learning, and we make learning relevant, experiential, and career connected. UMR's NextGen prototype is an accelerated Bachelor of Science in Health Sciences degree that prepares students for careers in the business and leadership of healthcare. Students in the inaugural cohort began their NextGen program in fall of 2022. So, what did it take for us to be ready to welcome those trailblazers? What you see on this slide are startup activities accomplished over 18 months, from procuring investment to conducting focus groups of hiring managers to selecting a faculty team that then engaged in a 2-week design sprint, to creating and launching a recruitment marketing campaign, including a new NextGen Summer Quest program for high schoolers, to staffing for multiple new activities like faculty development and internship creation and stewardship of our partner Mayo Clinic and participation in a related national project. This slide really shows the kind of fun the UMR community likes to have. Moving from curiosity to imagination to idea to implementation. For our new regents, just to mention that UMR is a new campus established in 2009 and serving students who have a passion to make a difference in the world through a career in health. Our research specialty is student learning and development, so all faculty focus their research on our students and their learning. On our campus, we are educational innovators and we live by 3 principles. Students are at the center, research informs practice, and partners make it possible. So now to some specifics. You might be wondering how a full undergraduate degree is completed in 2.5 years. Well, most coursework is organized in 7-week blocks, as you can see in this portion of the advising plan, with the full plan in your docket. Within each block, courses are bundled around a theme. For example, in the current spring block B, students have a theme of using data to understand health. Each block culminates with an integrated project related to the theme, and learning continues in the summer term. So students who started in August of 22 will finish their degrees in December of 24. Importantly, these competencies are aligned with the existing learning outcomes as well as employer needs. Student progress on Student progress on the competencies is represented visually on the platform dashboard as they move through their coursework. As students complete their degrees, they'll have a portfolio to showcase their learning on each of the competencies, supporting their interaction with employers as they move from student to professional. Students are also able to earn badges directly connected to employer-identified needs. On the first row, you see the industry proficiency badges: human-centered design, emerging technology, entrepreneurship, and project management, all connected to the healthcare industry and identified through the hiring manager focus groups. And on the second row are badges for employer-identified personal and interpersonal habits. I'll listen carefully to these. From left to right: creativity, curiosity, compassion, and sense of community. I love these. And it's our shout out to the humanities: creativity, curiosity, compassion, and sense of community. That's what our healthcare employers want in their new hires. Students can also earn badges for engagement with high-impact practices. These are the learning experiences that increase student retention and completion, everything from undergraduate research to civic engagement and more. Here you see a snapshot of the in-demand healthcare careers for which the next-gen students are being prepared. So where are we now? The initial cohort is completing the first year. They're ready to start their internships and summer courses next week. What have we learned so far? Well, let's start with the students. The sense of belonging is strong, well-being is solid. Their GPAs are not different from their peers in the four-year version of the same degree, and they love the badges. They want more badges. We've learned that accelerated options need an off-ramp because life is sure to bring unexpected interruptions for some students. We've learned that UMR faculty and the university's OIT experts are amazing, though many of us already knew that. We've learned that even the best employer partnerships are a lot of work, daily work. And importantly, we've learned that higher ed isn't typically staffed or structured for ongoing connections between employers and learning design. Of course, that can change. We've learned that in this new era in higher ed, others are quite interested in what we're doing. That's helping us accomplish a UMR goal to be a demonstration case campus. And then that final question, what happens next? Well, at UMR, we're recruiting the next cohort. We're being responsive to our employer partner who has brought forward a new need that has us working toward an expanded menu of next-gen options within healthcare. And we're exploring ways to connect employer scholarships with career commitments. We're also engaged in a related national project. With the support of Senator Klobuchar, we're pursuing federal experimental sites designation for other similar pilots, and we're documenting the learning of our pilot and others in a book to be published by Johns Hopkins. And we're considering next steps for scaling new degree designs that address both cost and outcomes. So we're determined to keep learning and to contribute our learning to teams of future University of Minnesota program designers. The Next Gen initiative is just getting started. And to date, many people have given ideas and expertise and time, healthy skepticism, and energy to this project. Together, all who have been involved in this fledgling initiative are hoping that these early efforts contribute to forward progress, driving educational innovation at the University of Minnesota for the students and state we serve. We're grateful to you, Regents, for your support, and to all of the folks who have been involved, with a very special thanks to President Gabel for opening the door to this opportunity. And now we look forward to those who will create new next-gen programs, like our colleagues in Crookston who have launched Next Gen Ag.
All right, Chancellor Holtzclaw.
Regent Mayron and members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and thank you to my colleague, Chancellor Carroll, who is just such an inspiration. She's been so gracious in sharing with us her learnings and offering to assist anyway. And thank you to President Gabel for as Lori had mentioned, really sponsoring this, for being that person behind the scenes helping us and continue these paths. So I'm going to share with you today a little bit about NextGen Ag and its program. The development of NextGen Ag started with extensive listening sessions in 21 and 22, and we listened to more than 100 of the major corporate and major agricultural employers across Minnesota. We heard from HR directors and others that interact closely with their employees about the competencies that they need from their employees. We took these findings, worked very closely with our colleagues in Rochester, researched best practices in learning, and designed a program that we hope will inspire and build confidence for adult returning learners to increase their employer-identified competencies and knowledge. This program complements the M 2025 goals to increase innovation and high-quality education offerings across modes of delivery to reach students where they are, and then the intersection of advancing natural resources and agri-food systems to elevate human security and potential. This information was taken to a team of experts from both Crookston and the Twin Cities campuses to design a program that would meet the needs of employees and employers, while also attracting the most promising talent pipeline for these organizations: adults, returning students. The result is a 21-credit certificate focusing on building competencies and knowledge that is immediately applicable in the workplace, and also creates a platform for future degree completion. Upon completion of the certificate, successful students will have completed 3 general education requirements and a solid foundation for a minor in leadership. This framework allows each student to choose a major while developing employer-ready skills and abilities. As Chancellor Carroll mentioned, education is not just about course content. It's about the delivery method and creating an environment for student success in learning and retaining new information. The team combined discipline-based knowledge with high-impact practices in our online student success to design a program that creates confidence and employer relevance for adult returners. The emphasis of these courses goes beyond traditional discipline-specific content to building competencies identified by employers as most important and, as you had mentioned, often missing for employment success. As we know, adult learners come to us with more experience, knowledge, and competencies than traditional age students. Often they've developed life and work skills through experience that supports their capabilities, especially in the workplace. NextGen Ag works with both students and employer to identify avenues for awarding prior learning credit towards a baccalaureate as possible. This accelerates their time to degree while lowering costs for students. In addition, students work with their concierge advisors and review any prior transcripts to identify the most expedient and relevant pathway to degree completion. This is done in conjunction with current and potential employers to ensure that the degree pathway aligns with potential future promotion and employment. As you can see here, the competencies that we are emphasizing in this program and identified by our partners were communication, ethical leadership, collaboration, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity and innovation, experiential engagement, and data analysis and decision making. During the course of the program, students have an opportunity to be introduced to the competencies and are provided at least one opportunity to apply the competency in a work-related and work-relevant project. NextGen Success has a number of courses, and I'm going to briefly go over those. The first one is called NextGen Success, and it exposes adult returners to the latest learning management software and techniques, including introduction to the NextGen platform for tracking competencies. And our students also love those badges. Students review the basics of good communications and writing skills, as well as how to participate as an online student. Many of them have not been in classroom situations for as many as 15, 20, 25 years. Students are encouraged to create an online community with their fellow cohort members. Our personal leadership explores important leadership topics relevant in the workplace, including goal setting, ethics, and team leadership. This course is highly reflective, and students complete a journal and a workbook categorizing their progress as they move through the program. The business and technology teaches students the basics of management and financial analysis. Emphasis is placed on unique aspects of the food industry, including cooperative business structures, which you're probably aware is a historic business model for many agricultural operations, as well as they learn commodity marketing and accounting. Innovation and creativity encourages evidence-based innovation and creativity using the most modern techniques, such as human-centered design and building an innovation future. Data and decision-making reinforces concepts from the innovation and creativity and builds on using evidence to make decisions. The focus is on using evidence and modern process to make timely and relevant decisions. The community-based project, which they do in their local community, ties together content from all of the courses in creation of a community-based project. Reflections from the personal leadership course are examined to reflect on progress. Students complete this course with both a community-based project design and a plan for personal growth following completion of the certificate. On a personal note, this class will be offered this summer, and I'm going to be one of the co-facilitators. I really cannot wait to see what the projects are going to be and providing guidance where I can be helpful with our students. And then lastly, our students take a course of choice. Students choose this course based upon their pathway of interest. Most often it's agribusiness or agricultural communications. Research has found that many adults that would like to return to work lack the resources. Many are mid-career, and sometimes make just enough money that they don't qualify for financial aid or reluctant to take on additional debt to pursue career advancement. Frequently, they have children of their own in college, and so they may be prioritizing them over themselves. So this pilot cohort, which launched in November of 2022, was funded by federal monies leveraged from Polk County, where the University of Minnesota Crookston is located, and our local Rotary chapter. Participants were offered a 75% tuition scholarship for the commitment to successfully complete the program, and in many cases, the other 25% were covered by the students' employers. Not only do the students receive financial assistance, but we receive from the students their constant feedback about how we can do this more effectively, how this pilot can be enhanced. So that was part of the deal, that they would be honest with us as we would try to help them find ways to finance this. As we are talking also about the future of these programs, starting with cohort 2, the cost structure and timing, which will begin in August of this year, really reflects the federal guidelines for the employer tax-free reimbursement. Rather, our employees receive oftentimes employers receive a tax incentive for supporting the education of their employees. Currently, as we mentioned yesterday, this amount is $5,250 annually. So our students participating in cohort 2 and forward will complete courses over 2 calendar years, allowing an employer, if they wish, to pay 100% of the tuition, helping students overcome financial burdens by tapping into employer-supported funds. Students may also choose to apply for financial aid or continue with tuition reimbursement if they choose to continue their degree pathway. To date, the pilot has yielded critical information for continuation and also generated some very promising outcomes already. We had a 13-member cohort that will be completing in August, and 4 of the cohort members have already converted from a certificate, which this was, to degree-seeking students, with more expected as this program nears completion. And all will create their go-forward plan in their community engagement capstone course. We have 2 major corporate partners. One has been CHS, and the other has been Land O'Lakes. And at CHS, 2 students have already been promoted based upon the course success. Both CHS and Land O'Lakes, who helped us launch this initially, report that they can see a difference in their student-employee performance. And CHS plans to expand the opportunity nationally. Right now it was made available mostly to their Minnesota employees, and have asked for 10 seats in our next cohort, which will be 25. And we're currently working with the Minnesota Office of Higher Education to have this program qualified as a dual training program. This will give employers additional incentives per employee for enrollment. We will be holding a graduation ceremony for the first cohort, August 4th, if you'd like to join us, at the McNamara Center, and our corporate partners are expected to be there with us. As I mentioned, our next cohort will begin in August, and we'll add other partners, and it will be open to any agribusinesses that wish to partner with us. We've been working most recently with AgriGrowth, and significant recruiting plans are in place over the next few months with a goal of attracting at least 25 new students. And if demand is high enough, we're prepared to create 2 cohorts. And as we go forward, we're also beginning to work with another set of classes in 2024 that we hope to bring to you at that time, which will support the policing and peace officer work in the state of Minnesota. This new program, under the great leadership of President Gabel, will be called Next Gen Badge, and we look forward to bringing you highlights about that in the coming years. So with that, Chancellor Carroll and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Again, stellar presentation. Thank you so much. So much has been accomplished and so much that we have to look forward to. Thank you. I think this deserves a round of applause as well. Questions from colleagues? Regent Davenport.
Thank you, Chair Mayron. Of course, I love this, and I've loved it from the beginning, and I think it's right on. Question on Next Gen Ag, because I have no doubt of the continued success of that one. And the Land O'Lakes example, you're preparing to ramp this up nationally, I would expect, because this is going to be very popular. I think there's a Next Gen Med, of course, is out there, and it's a little different kind of a model. I like the certificate model, the shorter term. Other partnerships within the state, for example, farm business management programs that are already a collaborative between our 2 higher ed systems. But my question is, because I think these programs, and as you move into the Next Gen Badge, are going to be very popular for students, not just in Minnesota, but nationwide, and also looking at enrollment issues. Do we, and you may have addressed this in the past, Chancellor Carroll, what protections do we have on the intellectual property of this with Google, and to keep people from stealing this notion? Because I think, the example of University of Phoenix, for example, has just exploded. I can see that explosion potential with the quality programs that you're putting together.
Chair Mayron, Regent Davenport, the university owns the Next Gen platform, so that was part of the structure of what we did with Google Cloud.
Thank you.
And Chair Mayron and Regent Davenport, if I may add, that much of that hard work was done by Chancellor Carroll and the Office of General Counsel to ensure that happened.
Very good. Thank you.
So the same applies for Next Gen Ag, that the university owns the technology, the platform.
So Chair Mayron, initially, or the first bit of work was done in conjunction with Google, but then at that point in time, since we are the owner of that technology, all of the work has been done by our Office of Information Technology, starting with Next Gen Ag, and also ensuring that the Next Gen Med profile and platform was working too. So that's why we have great gratitude for the unseen heroes who were behind the scenes making that work.
Just thinking about that technology, is licensing that technology down the road to other institutions of higher learning something that's been talked about either positively or negatively? In other words, trying to capitalize on the actual technology as a revenue stream.
Chair Mayron, I think that we are certainly still in the pilot phase with this platform, and that through this pilot we've learned so much and our technologists have contributed so much. There are multiple improvements that we would want to make. It was a first iteration, and so I think having the technologists up here eventually, once we're through the pilot phase and we're into a second or third iteration, would probably be the best time to ask that question. we do want to make clear that the NextGen platform is being used for all the programs, right? So there isn't a separate platform for one program, the next program, the platform is static.
We're always looking for ways to monetize what we do and create other sources of revenue other than tuition and our partner, the state of Minnesota.
Well, Chair Mayron, we do know that whatever version of a platform might be ready for that at some future state, it will be full of badges.
Okay, great. Anything further you wanted to add, Chancellor Holtzclass? All right, Regent Hipsch.
Thanks, Chair Mayron, and thanks, Chancellors. I really love this a lot. I think it's just really important. I think it's one of the things that fits our mission statement of our land grant status the most of things that we do, because it meets students where they're at. And I can see this going a long ways. Earlier in my career, it would have been really nice to be able to even get a master's degree like this in agriculture, executive leadership or something, because, a lot of the companies in our area, people are coming there with bachelor's degrees, but we're so far away from anywhere else that offers a master's degree that they're kind of stalemated. Either they quit having a family or quit working or go get it, and they can't do those three things. So I really like this. I think it's really going to be great for our area of the state at least, and thank you for doing this. I don't really have a question, so thank you.
You might offer Regent Hipsch an honorary badge.
Yeah,
Good.
I really.
Any other questions? Yes, Regent Wheeler.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Farron. Thank you very much for this, Chancellors. It's really impressive work. And I remember talking to someone who led the Google Certificate Program, and her basic comment was, yes, we can treat project management, we can certify these things. We're trying to partner with higher ed, but it was looked at as a threat to higher education to a certain extent. And what they said coming out of those certificate programs was that people were lacking the social, interpersonal, and skills to be successful with that. So you have created, I think, the best of all worlds, including addressing, affordability, with that time too. So I just really appreciate what you have done and created, and it really answers that question of really being next gen and thinking about things in new ways with the tech, but also having, fully formed people to, go back and be their best selves. Going forward. So thank you for that. My question gets to recruitment. So obviously when you have partnerships with business, there's some filling of those 10 seats, right? But how do you advertise? Where do you go to have the awareness and recruitment for these programs?
Chair Mayron.
Yes.
And Regent Wheeler. We've had several partners who have helped us. It obviously depends upon the industry. And so we work with, in our case, we'd worked with a firm called Real Time Talent here in Minnesota. And that actually they have helped us identify what are the on-ramps for potential individuals. For instance, I will share with you on the Next Gen badge, we just recently worked with them and to find out how do you go about, for instance, recruiting individuals into being peace officers. And they identified where individuals, and there are several firms that do this across both higher education that help us identify when individuals are coming into roles, what was their prior experience. And so that identifies based upon the NACE code where those individuals may come from. So we try to be as strategic as we can with that. And then from there, then of course, identifying what would be the natural places where those individuals would be looking to find information. So it varies with, in the case of agriculture, I know that field, so it was relatively easier for some of us to make those associations, but when each area that we add to a different industry, we go back to a evidence base to determine how to find that. So thank you for that question.
All right, any other questions, discussions? Thank you very much, Chancellors. Great presentation. We're going to take a short 10-minute break, and then we will come back for an update on a variety of different topics, including the legislative update by Senior Vice President Franz, also public safety and peak. So Stay tuned, back in 10. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. We will resume the Board of Regents meeting. At this time, I would ask Senior Vice President Franz to come up to the desk there, and he is there. Item 9 is presentation by Senior Vice President Franz providing an update on the university legislative priorities. But before he does that, he's going to do a short update on public safety and on peak, and then address the legislative priorities. Senior Vice President Franz.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the Board of Regents and President Gable. As I talk about public safety, I've asked Chief Clark to be here today. I just want to take a moment here as we start to acknowledge the tremendous efforts, excuse me, from the University Department of Public Safety, led by Chief Clark. And one of the things that we all know is that these folks, day in and day out and night in and night out, provide the utmost attention and care to what we do around here to make this community safe. And I'm just so amazed at the teamwork that he has with the people that work for the Department of Public Safety and the University of Minnesota Police Department and all the folks over there. And I just wanted to take an opportunity. He's kind of busy this weekend with all the festivities going on, so I wanted to invite him over here and then let him get out of here so he can go back to work. And I apologize to him for that, but I just really wanted to make sure that we took an opportunity to say thank you for the work that they do. These are challenging times, and it seems like every week there's a new challenge, and we have to meet that challenge. And Chief Clark is always there, always available. And so I just wanted to say thank you to Chief Clark.
Chief Clark, why don't you come up here and let us thank you. All of your whole team. It's incredible.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
See you later. Thank you.
Good luck. May the force be with you, literally.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, it's right.
Funny.
So hip. I guess so. All right, Senior Vice President Franz, if you want to give us a little update on peak, and if you need to call a friend, your colleague.
I'm not done yet with public safety.
Oh, you're not? All right, then when you're
I'm not gonna
ready,
get
you can call up Vice President Horstman.
You're not going to get off the hook that easily. And thank you, all of you, for that support of Chief Clark. We all know the challenge that we have. And I just want to say that safety is and always will be a top priority at the University of Minnesota. We are concerned about what's happening. We're concerned about the new events that have been happening in Dinkytown. But, you know, I'm almost been here for 3 years now, and it seems like there's always a new challenge, a different challenge. But we're living in difficult times, and whatever we do is not going to solve the problem. All we can do is do the best we can every day to meet those challenges and to add no more resources. I'm happy to report in the budget bill that was passed, there was an allocation of $10 million for public safety for the next 2 years, which will, Chief Clark and I have some recommendations for you all about how to spend that. But it's going to help us continue to lean in to the situation and talk about safety in the holistic sense. It's safety not only on campus for our students, faculty, and staff, but it's in the surrounding neighborhoods where we want to support the Minneapolis Police Department as they lead in their attempts to try to deal with these kinds of issues. But, you know, this weekend, for example, we're having such great support with the Minneapolis Police Department, Chief O'Hara, with the Metro Transit, with Chief Morales, with the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, with the State Patrol and Colonel Langer. These folks have all stepped up to make sure that this week in particular, with all our guests and visitors on campus, that we do whatever we can to provide that extra oversight and extra resources, because we want everyone to enjoy this weekend and be safe. So I think it's important to realize that it is a team effort, and we're all the agencies that we work with are really supportive of what we do here, and we continue to work with the different jurisdictions. We met this last weekend. As you know, we had some challenges with some of the youth violence that was experienced in Dinkytown, and we've talked to local leaders. We talked with Representative Mohammed Noor, some of you know is a local representative, does a lot of great work here, and and Majority Leader Senator Dietzick, who also represents this area. So there's a lot of interest and concern about what we can do in the future to continue to come up with new solutions, new opportunities to deal with. There was a meeting Tuesday night at the Marcy Homes neighborhood where there was a safety meeting. There was nearly 100 students, parents, and business owners showed up, and Minneapolis Police Chief O'Hara was there, Second Precinct Inspector Sean McGinty, Commissioner Cedric Alexander. There were city council members there, Rainville and Wansley, and we had some folks from our UMPD liaison officer, Nick Juarez. So a lot of folks there listening and making sure that people are aware of what we're trying to do. We're going to be adding some new safety walks this summer, something we did last fall, but we'll be doing some more of that. We'll make sure you know about that if you want to have an opportunity to participate. But I think one of the things we just want to say is thank you to our partners, and we'll continue to lean on them. I just want to give a quick update on the hiring opportunities we've been engaged in with the Department of Public Safety. We currently have 54 sworn officers, and some of you know we were down below that at one point. We actually have 2 more offers outstanding, and we're working on hiring some more community service officers. As you may recall, community service officers are those that assist our sworn officers around campus and give them more opportunity to engage in policing activities. We also have new security personnel that operate. They provide routine patrols, access controls. They promote compliance with policies and conduct community engagement at every opportunity. So we're continuing to add to our force. We hope that we can get to 60 sworn officers by the end of the year, given our current hiring trends. But that's a work in progress. One of the things we're working on is there are different ways to deal with some of these issues. Some of these issues are environmental design, like the lighting issues we've talked about in the Marcy Homes area. And Tina Rasmus, our local government affairs worker, has been working miracles, working with the city and some of the utility agencies to repair and replace lights that are currently not working. And so there's a lot we can do. Our department of the University Center for Transportation Studies is examining short-term ways to be able to monitor and direct traffic flow around Dinkytown, which can be quite effective in stopping some of this unwanted traffic, but it can also be quite effective in stopping business, something you don't want to do. So you have to be flexible about how you do that and come up with ways to do that are more effective. So we're working on that. Going forward. Just a note about 1721 property. You'll remember a year ago that was a problem property that was shut down. It's still shut down. It's seeking to reopen this fall, but we're working closely with the Regulations Bureau at the city of Minneapolis to make sure that they have a plan that is followed through with. And we just want to make sure that we're, along with the dorms and the fraternities and sororities in that neighborhood, that we're good neighbors. We work with our neighbors in that area to make sure that whoever wants to open that house or whatever terms they want to come up with, that it meets the needs of the community. And so anyway, so I just wanted to give you that quick update, but now we can jump to peak, and I would like to call a friend to come up with that.
All right. Vice President Horstman, if you would join Senior Vice President Franz. Thank you.
Good morning, Myron.
Good morning, Vice President. Doing good.
Thank you. You too, sir. You're not wearing that suit this week, and I'd like to borrow it. Thank you, Chair Mayron and members of the board. I appreciate, we appreciate the time to talk about peak. And I thought for the brief moment we have, it might be good to sort of set the baseline, given the incoming regents, about where we've been, but certainly spend a majority of it on what is going on now and where we're headed. Peak does stand, as we know, as position for excellence in alignment and knowledge, and represents the objective of alignment and improvement of decentralized administrative processes for human resources and finance into operation centers to fully support the university's mission. It's meant to create equitable and inclusive career development paths that do not exist today or are harder to see, leverage our resources for the greater good, and deliver services in a timely, accurate, and compliant manner. Information technology is an area that has aligned many services in a similar manner in the past years. So Peak for IT really means how do we create a structure around these services to leverage critical IT resources for system-wide priorities when capacity exists locally. For marketing and communications, the overarching goal is to streamline vendor relationships centrally, thereby offering a more cost-effective version of these services that can be used system-wide. Not every campus or unit necessarily today has access to all those services, and to use savings from this effort to create a common good and service platform in university relations. Each of the 4 areas, HR, finance, IT, and marketing communications, are connected across the project with many intersections, especially finance and HR, and at the same time, each of the 4 is its own project. This project started with a survey in 2021 that 7,000 employees took. There were, from that, 75 focus groups and forums with employees to find out how they answered their questions and confirm what the data was that we received. Since that time, after our conversation yesterday, I went back and looked at the effort of those involved in the Peak project. There's been over 700 functional group meetings in the last 2 years to make this project come forward. And there's been over an additional 200 sessions with consultative committees, chairs of committees, employee groups. This includes town halls and webinars that we have held with various groups, small and large, system-wide and on campuses and in colleges. In addition to that, we've talked to the board. The board has been very supportive and a leader in having us do this project. And the most recent presentation was February 23rd at the Finance and Ops Committee. Last year, we took a significant amount of your retreat time in July on the topic. And in 21, the last half of the year, we were in front of the Finance and Ops Committee 4 times. The principles, the benefits we often talk about in this arena of consultation involve the objectives of being more inclusive and equitable, as I said, and respecting employee rights. And in each one, we have said that this is not a workforce reduction project. What it is a work change project. And we are still committed to that principle. There has been regular communication to the university community that this budget is planned to be budget neutral, and VP Tonneson and her team have put a significant effort into developing a budget process that supports this goal. So coming up to the current time, the initial phase was an assessment phase that ran through most of 21. It involved extensive interviews, surveys, and work data, as well as consultation with stakeholders from all 5 campuses. We worked closely with our consultants from Huron to analyze this and what would work best on a system-wide basis for effectiveness and service. This past year in 22, we spent in design, and that meant we were drafting service catalogs of the different services that may be offered, looking at business processes that support those services and how they might need to change, and setting expectations to inform how we implement this into a true service delivery model. And that brings us to our current phase, which is run from the end of 22 to present day. Our implementation plan is split into 4 phases, covering all campuses, colleges, administrative units at the university, and this time frame is basically from now through the end of fiscal 25. We are currently in phase 1. When we talk of implementation and a specific implementation date, the date itself is the starting point of a window of time to complete the work of the phase. We are currently estimating implementation would start in August, and for some components, it may be later in the fall semester. By the end of the calendar year, Phase 1 implementation will be complete and operational. Phase 1 campuses, colleges, and units include Crookston, Duluth, Morris, and Rochester campuses, the law school in Humphrey, in the Twin Cities, and the central units of finance, procurement, information technology, and human resources. Finance, HR, and marketing and communication projects have formed transition teams consisting of local working leadership and subject matter experts in those locations for each discipline, and have reviewed the relevant work duties and have provided an updated estimate on that work as to what is eligible to transition to an operations center and what work would stay local. This has been a significant undertaking, and we truly appreciate the dedication and time commitment of the transition team members. At the same time, a workforce transition plan has been developed, which includes an expression of interest for staff who work and is part of the transition and can move laterally to a similar position. Through this process, eligible staff can express an interest in positions in finance, human resources, and university relations that are at the same level of their current position. The expression of interest process involves the employee completing a form, which went live this week. Upon completion of the form, supervisors for peak positions will reach out for an informational dialogue to answer any questions the employee may have. Staff will then be identified to move to the operations center and university relations. The timing of the move of the staff will vary for each central group. It is important to know that this transition is organizational and not geographical. This has been another item that we have communicated regularly. This means that someone, for instance, on the Duluth campus who is interested and wants to work centrally can become a member of that team and remain physically on the current campus. And we are looking at possibilities for hoteling space in different locations to support that. Employees identified to move laterally will first receive an appointment letter describing the opportunity, will have a choice to accept or remain in their current unit. As I referenced yesterday, this process is person by person, and that's where communication goes as we move forward. And that person who is impacted or potentially impacted will be involved in the dialogue. It's what I call the shoe leather phase, so we will be out and about as a result of that. The exact launch date will vary for all 4 disciplines. There will be plans communicated for onboarding and training in the central units and training for those staying in their current organization whose work may be adjusted as well. Should an opportunity exist that cannot be filled through a lateral move, it will be posted and follow the standard application process. We have had recently and in an ongoing basis significant conversations with AFSCME representatives. The clerical local unit especially is involved in this process. And those have been admittedly difficult and challenging on both sides, but both sides have a common commitment to come to an agreement on how this process will move forward. And those continue. This is not meant to be an all-encompassing update, but it is what is possible at this point in time of the meeting. For incoming regions, we will provide an onboarding document that provides much more detail, and we will be happy to take the time to go through that for you and to answer questions. And we welcome the opportunity to provide a more complete update at a future board meeting, perhaps later this year as Phase 1 continues to progress. So thank you for your time. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on peak or public safety before we get to the legislative update? Yes, Regent Kenyanya.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'll start with public safety. Briefly, I know we actioned on we did a real estate transaction in Dinkytown. I imagine that's still really early, but just curious if there's any progress on that and what may eventually be there.
Madam Chair, sure, glad to give an update on that. So earlier this year, in 2023, we were able to close on that property. The address is slipping my mind, but the former Loring Pasta Bar in the corner. As you will recall, that property became available, and we were concerned about the future of Dinkytown and wanted to make sure that we were there to help provide the direction and maybe even our own way to operate a business in that area to keep the charm and the wonderful nature of Dinkytown alive and well. We are working through that now. We have we've engaged a professional team to help us sort out what are the right opportunities for either leasing the property or doing something else. The property is going to require a little bit of work in terms of the building structure no matter what, but that'll be coming to this board fairly soon about some opportunities we think we can engage in, but we're still at the initial developing stages.
Madam Chair, thank you, SVP Franz. That's very helpful. With Vice President Horstman, appreciate the update. I would just say that you noted a document or memo for New Regents. I think it'd be helpful, in addition to the background, to get some additional details, specifically with the conversation with AFSCME, just because we're obviously hearing input, and I can't evaluate that if I don't necessarily know what's fully going on in the conversations that you're having. So just not necessarily to discuss those now, but in that communication, if in addition to the background for the New Regents, there could be some more detail on what some of those current pain points are.
I'd be happy to provide a summary on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Regent Turner.
Thank you, Chair Mayron. First of all, I'm glad we're going to get a more in-depth onboarding. That's my favorite word now, onboarding. But just as an example of some of the concerns, because I've yet to send that to you, but one of them that sticks out is supposedly in all the different campuses, there's a certain amount of positions that are going to be affected.
Mm-hmm.
And one question that they had is, and from what I'm hearing you, if they want to take a central job, it'll be remote, so they can still live in Crookston or Morris or wherever. The question is if that person from that town, leaves or retires or whatever, would that position still be offered to somebody that lives in that community? Or would it then become a position that could be taken somewhere else? Because when you look at the public health kind of view that I tend to do, that's income and economic impact to those communities if there's a potential that that particular job wouldn't be there.
I think the hybrid work philosophy and how that plays out in the future is still developing, and it is for us. I mean, we're still trying to be strategic, but feeling our way. And the one thing I always ask is the question, why? Why would someone need to be physically in a certain location to work? And if you can't answer why they're there, there is a possibility it can be hybrid. So I would think all of these jobs going forward would have that hybrid aspect. How it's determined through, because as we go forward and these organizations are in place in the future, it will be a posting process. But we certainly would be open to someone from that community applying and expressing an interest in the position. I don't think for fairness in the hiring process, we can necessarily confine it to one geographic location, but it wouldn't prohibit someone from attaining the position at all.
Well, like I said, it was just the one of 8 questions.
Well, I know. And I'm looking forward to getting those. We'll basically go anywhere and talk to anyone if there is a concern right now. I mean, that is the moment we're in.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you, Vice President Horstman. Back to you, Senior Vice President Franz, on the legislative update, which is just evolving minute by minute, is it not?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Literally this morning, the Capital Investment Conference Committee was meeting. I got a number of texts, many texts, and then emails that there was a deal reached. 30 minutes later, I got the same number of texts, maybe a few more, that the deal was no longer in play. So things are moving as we speak, literally. As you know, many of you know, the deadline now has changed to next Thursday. So May 18th, the legislature intends to complete their work and adjourn instead of May 22nd. And they'll be working all this weekend. There was some debate about that yesterday on the Senate floor, but they will be working even on Mother's Day this weekend. So there is a lot going on. And one of the things that I wanted to do is give you a quick update on what we've been trying to do this session. As you recall, in February, we had several departures in the government affairs area. And since that time, I've been overseeing the government relations team. And as you know, it requires a team effort. And so what we've done is we put together some additional contract lobbyists this spring to try to make sure that we had the right group of folks working on these important topics. But I will just say as a recommendation going forward that this is an area where we need to develop quick attention to more resources and figuring out what our long-term plan needs to be in the government affairs area, both on the state and federal level. I do want to mention on the federal level that we've been getting a lot of help from our firm Lewis Burke Associates. Some of you have worked with them, but they've been our DC-based government relations consulting firm, and they track funding opportunities. They carry out our appropriation process at the federal level. They assist with agency engagement. We have a lot of interaction with them. They work with a lot of our folks on some of these very technical grant programs. And they work really closely with Vice President Shashank Priya and Associate Vice President Amy Kircher in the Office of Vice President for Research. They collect, assess, and implement federal priorities all across the university. So we had a very successful year last year in 2023, fiscal 2023, and now we're working on the fiscal 2024 cycle. There's a lot of challenges coming up, though. Earlier, the board in, what was this, March maybe, got our submission of over 18 requests totaling $300 million for different federal projects. Those are underway. We're working on all those. There's great opportunities. We're trying to put together the most competitive request that we can, and we'll see how that works out. But the Lewis Burke firm will be helping us with that. As you know also, this year Congress will reauthorize the Farm Bill every 5 years, and there'll be a lot of opportunities for engagement on the Farm Bill. Very critical for us as a leading agricultural state and a leading agricultural university. The university has been a national leader in a lot of research facilities funding, and we want to make sure that we're participating in that. We're very fortunate in Minnesota to have both of our senators, Senator Klobuchar and Senator Smith, on the Ag Committee, but we'll be engaging in that process this summer. The upcoming year could be quite difficult, though, from a funding process. So, as you know, there's this thing called the debt limit that needs to be raised in the near future. If that doesn't occur on schedule as it is planned, this could result or will result in some federal funding agency accounts being frozen or reduced. There will be significant disruption in the federal grant process and in the way that federal agencies appropriate if there's any disruption in the normal processes. So we're already working on trying to make sure that we have access to funding that's there, making sure you have the right authorization, because sometimes if you get the authorization in place, you can spend monies even when there is a delay in some of the other new funding. So we want to make sure that we are proactive. We're concerned about what might happen, but we just have to monitor that. We're also monitoring changes to the name, image, and likeness regulations for our athletes. We're monitoring Title IX athletics eligibility for transgender students. The Pell Grant funding and other affordability policies will be up for consideration as well. And we anticipate some Supreme Court rulings on student loan forgiveness and affirmative action. So there's a lot to watch on the federal level. In the state relations area, we've put together our normal lobbying team that we have is from the firm of Cook, Strong, Selwood, also North State Advisors. Dewar Government Affairs, and the Stinson firm. We also engaged Sarah Erickson with United Strategies to help lead our efforts when we needed additional support. We've also got a lot of support from Donna Spanis Martin and Robert Blair and the university faculty legislative liaisons. We've had a lot of engagement from our faculty, staff, and student governance committees this last year, and our government affairs team from each campus. And I want to give a special shout out to Lynn Williams from UMD, who's always been engaged and involved in our activities. But there's, as you can see from all this, there are a lot of people engaged, a lot of opportunities, and this session is dynamic and very consequential. We've been engaged. We've increased the number of outreach emails. Kia Steele, our Government Affairs Relations Program Manager, has been fielding a number of opportunities for us to engage in direct engagement with our faculty, staff, and alumni. She's also had to address over 67 fiscal notes. As you know, fiscal notes are when they ask us what the impact would be to the university of a particular piece of legislation. This is 2 to 3 times the normal we get in a year. So we've had a lot of that going on. It involves a lot of people because Kia then has to find the right person at the university that understands this program, how it might affect them. And they're very technical, and the timeline is always way, way too short. So it's been an incredible process. As President Gable mentioned earlier this morning, we've been engaged in that process on the budget. We've met with more legislators than I can count, and the requests we've been answering as best we can, trying to make sure that we're staying engaged. Many of you were engaged this session as well, not only in the regent selection, but also in just understanding what's going on and being part of that dialogue. And it's really it's been an important opportunity for us. I will just say, in the result that we just got several days ago on the higher education budget, I don't know exactly how to say this.
Enough said.
Maybe later on today you could ask me my real opinion, but it's I'm really appreciative of we got $100 million for the next 2 years. That's a lot of money, and that's important. It will help us maintain our core mission. Some of the money, as I mentioned, was designated for public safety. That's great. There were some other things. They gave us some money for unemployment insurance aid, which is always good. Menstrual products, which was a new addition this year, which was really an important new equity item. The Natural Resources Research Institute received some funds. There's a one-time appropriation for medical programs at the St. Cloud Centricare Health System. We also had, I think I have a few more here, we had some money for the Agricultural Omnibus Bill, about $1.6 million for the University's Forever Green Initiative. That's the initiative focused to develop crops for year-round opportunity to help with water and other natural resources. Minnesota Extension got about $700,000 to build a farm-scale winter greenhouse. We got $600,000 to CFANS to maintain their heritage seed and oilseed bank, which I didn't know we had, which I'm glad we do. We also got $250,000 from the last biennium to purchase new equipment at the veterinary diagnostic lab, which is in the ag budget. The environmental omnibus bill. It looks like we're going to get $1.6 million for Dr. Osterholm to research the transmission of chronic wasting disease. So there were a lot of successes. We asked for more. I think we need more in the long run, and I think that's one of the reasons that we had Vice President Horstman talking about the Peak Initiative. Resources are limited, and they're going to continue to be limited. We have to be really wise about how we devote our resources. Every dollar we get, whether it's a philanthropic gift or a tuition dollar or a dollar from the state, we have to make sure every cent of that dollar goes to our mission of teaching, research, and service. So, all in all, we're grateful for the funds received. As I mentioned, the bonding bill is literally undergoing transition as we speak. On the UM and health area, President Gable mentioned this as well this morning. We are working very hard to support the academic health mission of the University of Minnesota, how critically important that is to this state, to the people who live here. It literally saves lives and make people's lives better. And so we feel really that that's an important element. We have some language, a bill that's moving through that would prohibit the proposed transaction from Sanford taking over all of Fairview, which would also then take over all of the university assets, and we felt that that's not something in the best interest of the state, let alone the University of Minnesota. That is still undergoing work there. We hired Tara Erickson of TGE Consulting, who's been our lead lobbyist in this effort and just been tremendous assistance for us. We also hired Kathy Thunheim of Thunheim, and she's been really helpful on the public relations aspect of the UMN Health work this year. So we'll have a better, more up-to-date, complete report for you later on after the dust settles and all this. Some of the other hot button items you may have been hearing about is sports betting. Obviously, we're concerned about how that might affect intercollegiate athletics. Paid family medical leave is an important issue out there that we've been watching. Unemployment insurance, as I mentioned. There have been a variety of agriculture, environmental issues, like, as I mentioned, chronic wasting disease, water and soil health, and water resilience research. So we'll continue to monitor to those so that in the remaining days ahead, we will be working to make sure that we can see a successful conclusion of the bonding bill, which needs to go up in terms of total dollars, but not where we need to be yet. And we'll see what happens with the UMN Health. I mentioned earlier, Tina Erasmus on the local level has been working hard with the local city, Minneapolis, especially on our Dinkytown efforts, and she's been really helpful in that regard. So that's my quick list. There's, like I said, there'll be more concrete reporting and analysis of where all this went. Part of the June budget, you'll see how we're going to utilize the money from the state as we project forward and make a recommendation for the president's budget to you, and you'll see more detail there. But that's what I have. Chair Mayron, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeoman's work that you and your team have been involved in basically truly 24/7. So thank you a lot. Any questions, comments by colleagues? All right. Thank you very much, Senior Vice President Franz, for that update on those three important areas. This brings us to our committee business. Following our normal practice for consent reports, if there were multiple items voted on in the committee, all items recommended unanimously will be taken together in one vote, unless any member of the board would like to separate any of those items from motion. Let's begin with the report of the Audit and Compliance Committee. Regent Kenyanya, please share your report with us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Audit and Compliance Committee did not consider any action items this month, but our agenda did include 3 discussion items, and Student Representative Sarah Davis described the committee as exciting, which I will note.
Quite a compliment.
Yes. First, Associate Vice President Mike Volna and our new controller, Molly Viola, provided a review of the audit and non-audit services provided to the university by external audit firms during this fiscal year, including the work performed by Deloitte, who serves as our external auditor. For our second item, the committee received an update on the Identity and Access Management Collaborative Assessment from Vice President Bernie Galacek and Senior Director Nathan Kuffner. This program is working to address findings from the access management audit that was completed in 2020, and we were pleased to learn of the progress made and steps taken to mitigate those findings and what risks the program will focus on over the next year. Our third item, built on the update the committee received in February on the university's Enterprise Risk Management Program, this time focusing on the work being done to update the university's institutional risk profile. The committee heard from Associate Vice President Catherine Bonison and from Matt Rierson from Baker Tilly, the consulting firm that is helping us with this important work. The committee looks forward to engaging with the institutional risk profile as it advances. Thank you, Chair Mayron. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Regent Hipsch, would you please report on the work of the Litigation Review Committee?
Chair Mayor, the Litigation Review Committee met yesterday. At this meeting, we adopted a resolution that authorized the closing of the meeting to discuss matters subject to the attorney-client privilege.
Thank you very much, Regent Hipsch. For the Mission Fulfillment Committee, Regent Davenport, please offer your report.
Thank you, Chair Mayron. The Mission Fulfillment Committee had 2 action items this month. The committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of promotion and tenure and annual continuous appointments and the consent report, which includes a number of academic program changes and conferral of tenure.
All right, before I call for a vote, would any regent wish to separate an item recommended by the committee from the motion? Hearing none, I will pause for a moment to see if any regent has any questions or comments. Hearing none, Regent Davenport, do you have a motion?
I do. I move approval of the committee report.
Is there a second?
Second.
I guess we don't even need a second for this, is that right?
That's right.
Okay, all right, but thank you for the second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. The motion carries. Regent Davenport, any additional committee business?
Thank you, Chair Mayron. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the report of Finance and Operations Committee, Regent Hipsch, if you could please offer your report.
Chair Mayron and members, the report of the Finance and Operations Committee included 2 items this month. Both were unanimously recommended by the committee for approval by the board. Those items include the following: the purchase of the YMCA parking lot parcel on First Avenue Southwest, Rochester for the Rochester campus, and the consent report, which includes 7 purchases of goods and services, 1 million and over, 1 capital budget amendment, 5 employment agreements, and 3 real estate transactions.
Before I call for a vote, would any regent wish to separate an item recommended by the committee from the motion? Hearing none, I'll pause for a moment to see if there's any regent who has any questions or comments. Hearing none, Regent Hipsch, do you have a motion?
Regent Mayron, I move approval of those items.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying no. The motion carries. Regent Hipsch, any additional items?
There were no other action items this month. Thank you, Chair Mayron. That concludes my report.
Thank you. This brings us to old business. Is there any old business to come before the board? Hearing none, is there any new business to come before the board? Hearing none, that concludes our business today. This meeting of the Board of Regents is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.